Hello and welcome to another episode of Oh So Curious Time DCU Daily. It is Christmas week, or if you celebrate Hanukkah, or if you don't celebrate any of those things, then it's just the holidays. And we are, here, and we are so glad that you are here with us. We have so much to talk about today. We've got to talk about how Sonic 3 is destroying Mufasa at the box office.
Hell yeah.
We're going to review both movies. We're also going to, of course, dive into the world of DC and Marvel, as we usually do. James Gunn has been talking about just how much of the movie is actually in the Superman trailer. So we're going to talk about that. And then, of course, in the world of the MCU, we are about to make a name for ourselves again, this time in Avengers Doomsday, potentially. So we have to get into that. And of course, we have to look ahead to what is going to be a busy week at the box office for the movies. Of course, we have got Nosferatu, you've got Baby Girl, you've got A Complete Unknown, or in other words, a complete unknown Baby Girl Nosferatu. I don't know. You can make a sentence out of it if you'd like, but we will do our best to get through everything. And then there's even more than that. Of course, we're coming to the close of the year. This might end up being our last show of the year, so we're probably going to look back at all the good stuff that has come along in 2024, and then look ahead to what is coming up in the new year in 2025. So to do that and so much more, let's get the show started. Oh, hello. Hi. Welcome
Hello.
on again to the show. We've got, of course, Liz and John. Liz, how are you doing? I'll start with you. How was your day? Are you looking forward to Christmas? You got any special plans this week?
I'm very well, thank you. Yes, I'm all ready for Christmas. Everything is purchased, everything is wrapped, everything is organized, everything is ready to go. Happy holidays, everybody.
Sweet. And John, what are you going to be doing for Christmas this week?
Gonna be high on a mountain with my dog, looking down on all the Who's in Whoville, because I'm a fucking Grinch when it comes to the holidays. But I still, unfortunately, I got some of my Christmas stuff late, so it's gonna come in tomorrow and on Christmas Eve. But that's okay. But yeah, that's it. I'm too tired for this.
Okay, all right. Well, that was for Hugo Millie watching, I'm sure. So there you go, Hugo. Not a lot of smoldering, but you got a bit of John to yourself. So, okay, now we're going to get off to the next part of the show, which is usually the first part of the show, and that is the news. So with that, let's get the news started.
It doesn't seem to matter what I do. I'm always number two.
All right, Mr. I need to paint my abs on to get nominated. You don't see Robert Downey doing that.
You're kidding.
You're
kidding. I can't open the envelope without the...
Warner Brothers is heading back into the Matrix with a new movie in the works.
Wonder what other surprises are in store.
I want to be Bruce Wayne.
I like that.
You're gonna love me.
There's the shot right there. That.
Okay, we don't need to see
Right there.
You look ridiculous.
Well, not no more, he don't.
What, dude? I can barely understand you. Your accent's insane.
What the needs now.
Give me a hand up. Nope, I'm actually okay. Thank you very much. Oh, wow. Wow.
All right. Well, it's the end of 2024, basically, for all intents and purposes. I feel like if I'm doing my math correctly, by the time we do next week's show, it might be either New Year's Eve or New Year's Day. So depending
Happy
on
New
when we decide to do it, happy holidays and happy New Year to everybody. But thanks for joining us, because it is a festive week. And with that in mind, the first thing I wanted to get started with, because we're coming up on the end of the year, there's this thing on Entertainment Weekly that posted a fantastic little piece of artwork. The illustration comes to us from let's see, what is that? Kyle Hilton or Kyle Hiltonilo? Okay, well, Kyle, great job with this because it is amazing how many different elements he's got in there. Especially, I like for just already right off the top. I love how he's got Joker dancing there with Michael Keaton. I'm like, that's amazing. There's some kind of irony in that. But I wanted to get you guys in on this. What do you see here? Because this is meant to be essentially
A
like all
lot.
the movies. And I feel like they hit all the marks. Like, what are you guys seeing in this? I see Gladiator.
yeah.
I've got 21 on my list so far of what
I
Alright, well,
got.
walk me through this.
Yeah,
So-
Liv, you go.
Furiosa is at the very bottom.
Yeah.
The Outrun is over towards, if you're looking at the photo, it's towards the left. Night Bitch is also right around there. And they're
Yeah.
right. Okay, so right where Night Bitch is, there's Alien, there's Sing Sing, there's Thelma, right where you've got it there.
There's
The Bike
the
Riders is just above Night Bitch.
Oh,
Thelma.
right there.
Then there's the one. Wait, go
Robot.
down a bit. There's the
Yeah.
ones, the Jesse Eisenberg, Kieran Culkin movie with them with the map.
Oh,
That
yeah.
one.
That's what I was trying to figure out what that
Real
was. A
Pain.
Real Pain.
Yep. Mhm.
What's the FBI one?
I don't know that. Well, there's the Dune thing little on the ground. The calling of
Yeah.
The dead gopher looking head is definitely from Hundreds of Beavers. There's more of them up
Yep.
top. By the
Yeah.
way, I would just like to say, if you haven't
Alien
seen Hundreds of Beavers, stop watching the stream now. Go to Tubi. It's on for free and watch Hundreds of Beavers.
Watch it.
It
watch
is
it
hands
after
down
us.
one of the best movies of the year and one of the best comedies I've seen in the last like 15 years. It's so fucking funny.
Okay, well, that's a great recommendation though. But just continuing on. So above the Bike Riders, there's the Wild Robot. Next to that is Challengers.
Zendaya.
There's Inside Out
Oh,
2 is
yep.
there. Beetlejuice, as we've already
Got
said.
Gladiator
Dune
2, you
slash
got-
Inside Out. Dune slash the Complete Unknown.
Oh, you
is
have
right
Civil
there.
War, taking a
I
picture
love
of
how
Terrifier
anxiety.
Chalamet meets Timothée Chalamet. I love
Yeah.
it. That's
Yep.
clever.
You have
And
Saturday
Terrifier
Night
3.
with
Yep, Saturday
Oh,
Night.
thank you. Yep.
Late
Right
Night with
there.
the Devil is, David Dastmalchian with the TV.
I got Beetlejuice dancing with the Joker. It's so crazy. Like,
And you
literally
have
just-
Harley Quinn and Jenna Ortega looking on,
Yep.
which is really fun. I think the guy in the guy next to Late Night with the Devil and under Jenna Ortega, I think that might be Oddity, because that's like a golem story, and that looks like a golem. So
Okay.
that's what I think. And then you got Terrifier 3 of Art the
Yep.
Clown right there. You have
Deadpool and
Dogpool.
Wolverine. Abigail is there.
Mhm.
Planet of the Apes is there.
What
I'm
the heck
trying
is
to
this
figure out what
big,
the pink.
leg foot is that for?
Oh, that's the substance. That's the substance.
Thank you with the syringe. Yes.
Okay.
Very.
And then you
good.
have A Different Man
Yes.
with the plaid shirts. I thought that was Beetlejuice because that looks like Alec Baldwin. I'm like, why is there two
Yeah.
of them? And I'm like, no,
Yeah.
that's A Different Man.
Yeah. There's Wicked.
Here in the middle.
Got
Okay,
The
like-
Apprentice. You got Long Legs. You got Wicked
The
Part
orange
1.
character.
Which
With the
one?
big smile. Why does he look so familiar? This orange character with the big smile. on
That's
the
that's
Inside
from
Out too.
Inside
That's
Out too.
Anxiety.
That's anxiety.
Oh, and then he's getting photographed by
Civil War. Kirsten
War.
Dunst.
Kristen Dunst. Yeah.
And you have
I
Quiet
think
Place
the
Day
one-
1.
I think
The
the one.
Apprentice is down. I just noticed The Apprentice, and then riding the
Megalopolis.
chariot is
Yes.
Twisters. Megalopolis. Oh, dude, they got so many different things in here. Okay, you got Megalopolis. Behind him, he's got Twisters and riding like a cowboy. You've got the Planet of the Apes riding on the horse. Who else is on the horse? Who are
I don't know the yellow
He's
one, but
got a neck brace on. I'm trying to figure out. Some of these are a little trickier than I anticipated.
Yeah, you can let us know in the chat, guys, if you're watching live or if you're watching in the comments. I love Envy, the way they just show Envy here. That's fantastic.
Yeah. And then up at the very top, you've got Conclave. Like I said, Abigail is there.
Yep.
We've got Planet of the Apes. Yeah, it's pretty
more,
fun.
you got more Hundreds of Beavers.
Yeah.
Who's the guy like half hanging out of the doorway? What is that?
I don't know.
That one I don't know, but that's Baby Girl there. The guy's got the milk next to him, and then he's looking at Nicole Kidman in the trench coat. That's Baby Girl. Gross.
Gross.
What? Wait, what?
The
I don't
guy
understand.
in the blue top, he's got a blue shirt with a tie, and he's got a jug of milk next to him.
Why is the jug of milk relevant to that?
Because in the trailer, it shows he orders her a glass of milk at a bar and tells her that she needs to drink a glass of milk. The whole fucking thing is creepy. The whole film is cringe, but that's how you know that's what that is.
That is so crazy.
Yeah.
We're gonna be talking about that later in the show, so that's great. Oh, I see Chris Evans there as Fantastic Four. Perfect. The 20th century.
Well, that's
logo.
that's what Wolverine. Yeah.
Who's the bride in the bloody
That's
dress?
Abigail.
That's Abigail.
That's Abigail. Oh.
Yeah.
Because she's wearing like a ballet outfit.
Yeah.
Who's that guy with the blue and the red star and the blue thing in the very top left corner? Is that from?
I have no idea. It looks like Danny Sexbang, but that's I don't think that's him.
I'm not sure on that one.
I have no idea who the blue guy is, but he's blue dabbity daboo die. There's another hundreds of beaver there in the suit, but the rest of them
I can't figure out who the gal that looks like the opera singer. I'm not sure who she is.
Yeah, I don't know who that is.
And yeah, the guy in the doorway looks familiar, but I can't place it right now.
Yeah.
But yeah,
maybe it's another long legs thing. I don't think so though.
I just love it. I just love the whole
creative.
image. It's amazing how much they got in this one picture, and just the way it is. Also, it's like there's just, it's great. It's great. Well, I just wanted to kind of start off with that because it just looks fantastic. Let's keep the ball rolling though, guys. I want to get your opinion on this. I'm sure you have a lot to say. Now, here's the thing: we're gonna get into the movie review itself in a little bit. So save your thoughts about the movies themselves. I just want to get your opinion on the box office right now.
Yep.
Sonic the Hedgehog 3 is completely, just destroying, trampling, stepping on, I don't know, whatever words you want to use.
3, 4, 3. Sonic 1 destroyed Birds of Prey, Sonic 2 destroyed Morbius, and now Sonic 3 is going 3 for 3 with destroying this bullshit fucking movie. Way to go. The little blue hedgehog that could. Nobody expected to be good with that first trailer that looked like a fucking eyesore that enough fans were like, nah, fuck this shit. We're not dealing with this shit. And they actually listened. And now we have one of the best film franchises going on right now. That's destroying one of the most evil corporations that's on the docket today.
Hey.
So I'm fucking here for it.
Take note, studios. When you give the fans what they want, the fans pay you back in return.
Instead of insulting the legacy of your original voice actor for Mufasa, but that's beside the point.
You're not wrong. We'll get into it. But yeah, no, I mean, surprising no one, Sonic came out and spanked Mufasa, and rightfully so, because Sonic is a straight banger.
I mean, when we're doing the show, the numbers, let's take a quick look here, because these numbers will change once we get the actuals if you don't have those yet. So you might look at this when you're watching the show and see an even bigger difference potentially. But Sonic is opening to $62 million, which is well ahead of Mufasa, starting at about $35 million, almost doubling the number. When you look at the production budgets, Disney spent $200 million. 200 to make Mufasa, and Sonic the Hedgehog is only 122. So it's already, this just, those numbers should be flipped, right? When you look at the expectations, the cinema score for Sonic the Hedgehog is A, and then the cinema score for Mufasa is A minus. And on post track, it's 85% for Mufasa, and then it's 89% positive for Sonic. So in both instances, while Mufasa for the ratings is not that far behind, clearly as far as the numbers go. And
the Rotten Tomatoes score is also really, in terms of critics, that is.
Yeah.
I believe Mufasa has a 56, and then Sonic has an 88 last time I checked, although that might have changed.
Yeah. No, we'll get into that when we're in the review, because definitely I think that the numbers, there's a bigger discrepancy there. But I mean, clearly already you can tell that it's one movie is a lot better than the other, at least in the eyes of the viewers. They're going.
This is just domestically, by the way, not internationally. That's probably gonna.
Yeah, international is going to be a big difference for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think also Mufasa is probably going to do better internationally, but
Yeah,
still,
it did
like,
beforehand.
it's going to make up for the discrepancy domestically. But guys, since we are again, coming up at the end of 2024 here, I've got like a nice little corgi down here. She's trying to get my attention. But anyway, so Disney, once again, I mean, like it seems like the rumors of Disney's demise were greatly exaggerated because they have once again topped the global box office in 2024 with $5 billion. And they are the first studio to mark that, number post-pandemic. $5 billion, no studio has hit that number since like 2020, 2021. So that alone is impressive. I mean, looking at three movies here on the list that were basically their biggest hits, even if Mufasa doesn't do all that well, they've already
have
had
Deadpool and Wolverine and Inside
that's
Out
all
too.
That's all they
And
needed. Those
Inside Out,
were awesome.
those two movies basically make up almost $3 billion out of the $5, and then you add Moana in there, that's another at least $500 million. So right there between those three movies alone, it's just one of those things where Disney, they can have 10 failures and then have like three big ones, and those three big ones can push them so far.
Oh,
it's
yeah. And they have the parks. They have the parks. That's their main income.
But the parks are not box office. Like in terms of like,
I meant like in terms of Disney encompassing
and being
that's
able to fund, and the merchandise, baby, the merchandise.
I mean, that's what it is for MGM now with Amazon. That's what it is for Apple. Like they can just fucking spend like money on like 20 different like $500 million movies, and they'll just it won't even matter to them. Like, oh, that's chump change to us. Like, fine, we could have 7 of these movies bomb in a fucking row and it won't matter. Like, whatever. Yeah. Like, okay, Argyle bombed, this thing bombed, but we're still greenlighting Ted Lasso season 4, motherfuckers. Let's go.
Argyle could have been good too. It's a real shame.
Yeah, but
real shame.
I mean,
reality is often disappointing.
But guys, it's not just those, right? Like when Disney bought, 20th Century Fox, they also bought like the Planet of the Apes franchise, the Alien franchise, and those are two franchises. I mean, Planet of the Apes had already been
both were good too.
But like Alien needed to kind of like make a return, and between the two of them this year, both franchises put out a movie, and they added another good $700 million into the mix. So that right there pretty much adds up to like well over 4.2, and then you add some of the smaller releases, and then you add whatever the running tally is for the Mufasa, the Lion King. It just goes to show you again, Disney, because of the power of the franchises that they have, they don't need to like have 10 or 6 or 7 even hits. They can have 3 or 4 hits. Like for example, just let's be honest, like when we get to 2026, like they'll just need Avengers Doomsday to be a $2 billion movie, and then maybe one Pixar movie makes $1 billion, and they will probably be at the top of the box office for the year again. So
especially with like DC coming out with 3 movies that year, which is crazy.
Yeah. I mean, hopefully, DC can make like $3 billion plus with those movies.
I hope
but
so.
We'll see.
But I'm not holding my
breath. It's going to do real well. It's going to do real well.
Yeah.
If Matt Reeves can finish the script.
Well, you know what? If Matt Reeves was working at Village Roadshow, he certainly would not be able to finish the script because the WGA probably sent him a notice saying, put your pen down, put your typewriter away, close your laptop, because you are no longer allowed. You are prohibited to work with Village Roadshow because they have not been paying writers on quote unquote numerous projects. Village Roadshow, I'm sure you've seen their logo if you're familiar with that V design. I think they partner up a lot with Warner Brothers, but obviously they work with other studios as well. So I saw this story, and obviously we are still only just a year out of the strikes that shut down Hollywood for a good 3 months last year, and we are still seeing the effects of that. There's a lot of movies that have had to move, people losing jobs. Like there's still a knock-on effect of that, especially in Hollywood, right? Like where all this production happens, especially for writers' rooms. Writers' rooms are like in LA, even if production happens in other parts of the country. So I wanted to get your opinion on this. Liz, I'll start with you. What do you think about this news? Because obviously you don't want to see stuff like this because it's problematic. Like for example, in the note that WGA sent, it said Village Roadshow owes writers compensation, interest, and benefit contributions, but has refused to pay. As such, the guild has determined that Village Roadshow is not reliable or financially responsible and requires the posting of a bond to protect writers. And so Village Roadshow has to date refused to do so. As a result, Village Roadshow is on the WGA strike list until further notice. And this is something that was brought to their attention over the last few months. So this isn't something that just happened overnight. It's like, what do you think about this, Liz? Is this just surprising to you, considering that like I said, we're just a year out from the strikes that happened? And then B, think, how do you think this affects the industry in general? Do you think this is part of a trend, or this is just, one, lone offender, let's say?
I mean, it's a real shame. It is a surprise because they are a big name. I've seen their logo come up many a time for many projects. It's super disappointing, but I would imagine that's part of the reason these people went on strike in the first place, because they were not getting what they deserved. And we're talking about just basic compensation. We're not talking about any bonuses, any royalties, anything like that, any promises of returning for future projects, just the simple cut and dry base fee that these people are owed. And I mean, the tone in this country right now, people are not very sympathetic towards large corporations that are screwing over their people. So I hope that they get their act together. I hope they turn around and say, hey, we're really sorry, we were behind, or whatever the case may be, whatever excuse they want to put out there, but they better start cutting some checks soon, or they're not going to be around for much longer.
It's, to me, this is like, worrisome, because I do look at it as like, is this like basically a sign that Village Roadshaw is in trouble as a company? Like, are they about to
I
go
think
under?
It is. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, like it
If
is
you
worrying.
suddenly just stop paying your people, what hope do you have for anybody? Nobody's going to want to work with you. Nobody works on promises, so
Yeah.
it's a real shame.
Well, I mean, John, what do you think about this? Like, this, as somebody who's seen probably a lot of Village Roadshow movies, are you like surprised?
I mean, yeah, I mean, as someone who wants to be a writer eventually, hopefully, it's good for them that they are taking some agency there. It's like it's kind of taking. That's what we're kind of are. We're kind of in like a workers' revolution a little bit. Like you see a lot of retail stuff where it's like, yeah, people are like, yeah, I'm done being treated like absolute fucking garbage. And the same thing with writers, because writers are definitely one of the most taken advantage of job in the industry. Writers are not very respected. I mean, that's why they went on strike, a couple months ago, or no, last year. Jesus Christ. It all blends together. Jesus fucking Christ. But it's, we're kind of reaching a point where it's like we're done being taken advantage of. We're done being, just pawns, less than pawns. So it's like we're not taking this shit anymore. And it's like, if you know what, if we're reaching that point, it's just like, fuck it, we're done. We're out of here. We're not doing this. So it's like, fuck Village Roadshow. And the thing is, they've worked on so many big movies. Like Wonka and Matrix Resurrections were probably their biggest ones so far. Joker, they worked on Joker a little bit. Like they definitely had a hand in that, and Ocean's 8, Ready Player One, and then a bunch of, future movies, pretty much tons of sequels. Like they're doing like, Sherlock Holmes 3, if that's ever going to come out, or Ready Player 2, if that's going to come out. San Andreas, and apparently there's a Training Day sequel, and I Am Legend 2. So, they clearly have a lot of big stuff behind them. So it's like the fact that they aren't willing to, it's just like because it's like, it's one thing if it's like a rinky dink indie thing, they don't have the money to, but this is Village Roadshow. Fucking Wonka made what, 600 million versus 125. I know they don't see every cent. I know it's like a combination of stuff, but even then you still get a admirable chunk of change from that deal doing that shit. So, I mean, and as you said, they do a lot of stuff with Warner Brothers. Matrix and Wonka are owned by Warner Brothers.
Exactly. Yep.
I believe 6 of the 7 upcoming Village Roadshow movies are Warner Brothers. So it's like, I guess that Warner Brothers shittiness is rubbing off on Village Roadshow, because, like, goddamn, I can't think of anything else as to why these motherfuckers aren't paying their writers. But it's like writers have always gotten the shit end of the stick, it feels like, in the film industry. So it's just like, you know what, fuck this, we're done, guys. We're not taking the shit anymore. So fuck you, Diet Warner Brothers. Get the fuck out of here.
I mean, you know what? That's the bet. But this is exactly why unions exist, to protect
Yeah,
the
exactly.
people who are
Absolutely.
working so hard in Hollywood. Oftentimes, jobs that they're probably only on for months out of the year, and then they might, be looking for their next gig for the next few months. So, having a union there for you where you have benefits, it helps to cover the gaps in employment, and certainly it helps to not only provide the safety net, but it provides protections such as what we are seeing here. So hopefully, whatever this dispute is ultimately, it gets resolved soon, because now that they've basically cut them off from the writers, that's basically the start of every project. You need writers, and nobody's gonna cross over the proverbial picket line to work for them, because then they won't be able to sign up to the WGA ever if you do that. So yeah, this is significant, and hopefully, this prompts Village Roadshow to basically fix up whatever the issues are, and hopefully it's not a reflection of a bigger problem, because like you said, John, they have a lot of big projects coming up, especially with Warner Brothers, who quite frankly cannot afford missteps like this when they themselves are trying to get out of $40 billion in debt. So we'll see how that goes. But guys, there is some more positive news we have to get into right now. Our favorite Joker, Jared Leto, hashtag damage, hashtag honka honka, he is back, except he's not back in the DCU or the DCEU. The DCEU is mostly done. But you know what? There is a He-Man universe that's about to launch, and we know now. Oh, we got the same story. Let's switch over to the main story of the day. I feel like Jared Leto is going to play Skeletor in Masters of the Universe, and the cast is now also set for villains Trapjaw, Triclops, and Goatman. But who cares about all of those other idiots? We are talking about Skeletor.
Oh,
He is
we'll
the
care when
main
we know
man.
who's cast as
So
those
is
other
Jared
villains.
Leto. What do you
How
guys
much you
think?
want? How much you want to fucking bet that they're not gonna have him actually look like a skeleton? It's just gonna look like Jared Leto because of his
I
massive
don't know.
fucking ego.
He was willing to have that shitty makeup in Morbius. Why not? I mean,
But you saw mostly his face.
he
in
is
that
one of
movie.
those that fully immerses himself in a role. I don't see why he wouldn't.
Yeah, he's
I'm
actually
really
gonna cut his face off and actually cut the muscular tissue off, so he actually becomes a skeleton.
I
No,
mean,
you know what they need to do?
he's
They
running a
need to make
cult on
him.
his private island, so I wouldn't put it past him at this point. Honestly, he thinks he's
They just
Jesus.
need to make him Lord Zed from the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Because you remember how he would had the mask, which looked like a skeleton. Then they had the metallic rib cage and the fake muscle suit. That's what they should do here. He should basically be Lord Zed, but
I know
Skeletor.
everybody shits all over Jared, but I like Jared a lot. I think he's a good actor. I think he puts a lot into his roles. He really cares about fully immersing himself. I don't think he's been given a fair shot. Again, he was edited out a lot in Birds of Prey, and even the director said they had so much Joker footage they could have made a standalone film. So the fact that he was just kind of left as an aside, it's not fair to him. But I think he'll do really well in this. I'm excited to hear his little Skeletor voice that he's going to come up with. Whatever. Yeah, I think he'll fully get into it. I think it'll be great. But I would really like to see who else is going to get cast as the other villains. So we'll see what happens. But I think this is exciting. I'm looking forward to it.
I don't know. I just can't get behind this. It's I feel like there's other better actors who could have taken this.
Listen, of course there are, but
it's just so funny that it's Morbius was such a huge flop. It flopped in the
but
fucking
that's not
theater
his
twice.
fault. That wasn't his fault.
Yeah, but it's I feel like he's box office poison now. Why would you fucking add him to this? But this thing I feel like is DOA. Didn't they get Noah Centineo as the fucking or did he leave? I don't fucking know, but they have a bunch of shitty nobodies. This movie's gonna fucking suck. It's DOA on them. It's I understand the Dolph Lundgren movie is not that great, but at least it's fun. At least it still feels like a good campy 80s action movie, but it's just and Frank Langella actually did something interesting and different. So it's just but I don't know. I'm probably not going to watch this crap. I'm just going to, just stick to my He-Man. my Skeletor
listen,
impression.
I'm in. I'm going to see it. I'll tell you all about it.
So yeah, I'll honestly, Zelda would make a better Skeletor. In all
Yeah,
honesty.
Zelda's yawning. She's like, I'm already tired of this movie. Yeah. Well, I'm. You know what? We'll see. We'll
We
see
all
what
are.
comes of it. Well, oh, corgi glitter.
That's not glitter. That's poop. Anyway.
What's wrong with you, man? Oh,
She rubs her butt in your face when you sleep. I'm willing to bet that. Just like, ooh. I mean, and my
I
butthole
don't know what
itches.
you're
I'm gonna
saying,
scratch it on
but
Dad's face.
that's not what Zelda said. Oh, and now my arms are being hijacked. Oh, she's like, you gotta help me out here. Okay. All right. Well, we gotta move on to the movie of the week, guys. John, you want to help me out with the graphics? I'm gonna have to like just be more along for the ride for the next little while because this little doggy wants to cuddle.
I mean, sure. Hang on. I gotta find it. Where is
There we go.
Oh, there
All
it
right,
is.
guys.
I couldn't
Let's talk
see
about
it. Sorry,
Mufasa,
my
the
bad.
lion, shall we? Mufasa, yeah, I've got like a doggy here, but there was a couple of cats in the movie theater this weekend, and were your hopes trampled like Mufasa would be in The Lion King? Because this was a prequel, so um, it's supposed to be the origin story of Mufasa and Scar. I, for one, have not seen the movie, but I probably don't care to either. But you guys did. So I want to get your take on this. Let's start with
No,
you.
John didn't.
Liz.
I didn't see that
John's
shit.
not
This is
gonna see it.
all
I
Liz.
saw it.
She can
I saw
rant
it.
fully. I'm just
And
gonna
I will.
head out.
And I will, John. Thank you so much. I absolutely will.
I can
I didn't think this movie needed to be made. We've already talked about the CGI, the rendering. We weren't big fans from what we saw in the trailer. I can only describe this film as a try-hard film. It was an absolute reach. The story was a reach. The plot was a reach. The pacing was all right. I will say Blue Ivy, she did do a great job as Kiara, as Simba's daughter. And she was in it a lot more than I expected. It was kind of one of those Rafiki came in telling a story, so they kind of would go back and forth between Timon and Pumbaa, Kiara, and Rafiki, and then back into the story that he was telling. But basically, the plot is Mufasa, as a child, as a cub, loses his parents in a flood and gets washed down river to a completely different territory he's not familiar with, runs into Scar, or in this case, Taka's pack or pride. Taka begs his father to let him stay because he's always wanted a brother. They grow up together. Mufasa barely acts like he misses his parents throughout the whole film. And then it becomes a turf war between other prides. So Taka and Mufasa get separated because now his Taka's pride has been destroyed, outrun, murdered essentially by another pride that's been trying to take over the Pride lands. So they're on the run again. They run into Sarabi, same story. Her pride got taken out by this roving pack of white lions who are trying to take over the Pride lands. Sarabi falls in love with Mufasa. Taka gets jealous. Sarabi and Mufasa are together because he feels he's of royal blood and Mufasa is not, even though nobody knows who Mufasa's parents are. Listen, gang, stream it. Stream it. If you got kids, movie theaters are expensive because you ain't just going for the movie. You're buying popcorn, you're buying soda, you're taking 5 bathroom breaks in a 2-hour film. Stream it, okay? Don't waste your money. The writing, not great. The end, let me tell you guys, in the end, Mufasa has a speech that is so woke, and this is coming from me, that is so woke. I was like, I'm in the theater like, are you kidding me right now? I mean, the propaganda was wild, completely ridiculous. It's a half an hour too long. It's 2 songs too long. And by the way, not a single song is a banger. You won't hear a single one of them on the radio. Waste
I
of
mean,
your time.
Lin-Manuel Miranda wrote the
I'm
music for this.
sorry. He can write for Broadway. He cannot write for Disney. And at least in this regard, it was a complete waste of time. Waste of time. Wasted on little kids. Absolutely wasted time. And one of the songs. So Antonio Banderas is the voice of the head of the White Lion Pride, and he has a song called "Bye Bye," and that's the chorus. Bye bye.
Bye, bye,
Bye bye.
By
Bye
NSYNC?
bye.
Is that-
Bye
did they
bye.
do-
That's the fucking song. Blow your brains out. I feel so bad for parents. But there was just so many things that were just completely unnecessary. Like they tried to make it this incredible origin story. They show us how Pride Rock was formed. Can it just be an existing rock formation? No, apparently there was an event that happened that formed Pride Rock. And that was like, get out of here with wasting my time. It was just, and again, and then the end when Scar gets his scar, we all know how Scar's going to get it. You're watching the film and you're like, okay, when is Scar going to get slashed in the face by a warring lion? We know it's coming.
It's like
when is it
when they told
coming?
us how, like when Han Solo, they told us like why Han Solo goes by Han Solo.
Yeah. Like, well, and I kid you not, they literally, it's not even one of those where it was just like, oh, I guess I'll call you Scar now. It was a whole thing. It was like, I'll never call you Taka by your name because my brother, you're not my brother anymore. It was the whole, I'm going to call you Scar, like, hello, Captain Obvious, like, get out of here. It was just, oh my God, the last 10 minutes was probably like the worst piece of film I've ever experienced in my life. The writing, everything was just so cringe. And what really killed me is, again, we're talking about the rendering, we're talking about how these animals, they, again, try hard. Try hard is the best way I can describe it. They made it a point using, camera things like fisheye, slow-mo. I can't tell you how many fucking close-ups.
Did Zack Snyder direct this movie?
For no reason at all, there were close-ups just so they can look at how great our rendering was. Look at how great our special effects team was. Look at all the individual hairs on the waste everyone's fucking time. You could have cut a half hour off of it easily. I just don't understand how parents are bringing their kids to these 2-hour films and getting through it. I really don't. So it was and now mind you, I didn't hate the thing. It did tug at my heartstrings at certain points, but as I've thought about it over the last 24 hours, I'm just getting more and more angry because it's just a cash grab. It's just a cash grab. There was no thought put into this film whatsoever. The storyline is weak. It's a complete reach. It's, how everybody meets one another and all this. We're all a bunch of outcasts.
That's what it suffers from, prequelitis. It's like
it's just unnecessary.
I hate it when prequels do that, is like when they have to include every fucking thing that makes the thing famous, because it's like, why do we need an explanation for every fucking thing? We don't.
Exactly. And that's exactly what they did. They spelled it out for us like we're all idiots, like we've never seen The Lion King in any version before. They really spelled it out as if this is the first time you've ever seen anything having to do with this story, like you've never heard the story before, which is fine if you're a 3-year-old child and you've never, sure. But again, for 2 hours, still not, that's
not an excuse when it's like, oh, it's for kids. It's like, I thought kids should have a better like frame of reference than this shit. Don't talk down to them. But it's just like prequelitis. And once I heard that, like, oh, Mufasa's adopted, I'm like, yep, what little maybe goodwill you have. I mean, I have none, because I haven't watched a fucking live action Disney remake since Beauty and the Beast, because all of them have just, I've heard all of them are terrible. All of them are just like cash grab bullshit.
They definitely are all cringy.
They're all crap. So it's like, I don't give a fuck. They're all very
cringy.
So
it was just, I knew it wasn't going to be great, but for me, it was a real disappointment. And it
was funny because I said this backstage, because I'm like, once I heard it was like, oh, he's adopted, I'm like, okay, Kings of Our Past, I guess that means fucking nothing, first off. And then second, well, because your past? Because you don't have a past, motherfucker.
Well, and what's really wild is, spoiler alert, in the end, he does get reunited with his birth mother. But we still don't know if his father was the king, was the head of his pride. We still don't really know for sure. Like, yeah, okay, so you get your blood relation back and you get your real family back, but we still don't exactly know the origin because they never discuss it in the beginning of the film when he's separated from his parents. It's just him walking the Pride lands with his parents. So there's no other members of the pride. There's no other reference or or context for who these lions are in the world.
And
So
then
it's
and then on top of the fact, it's like, yeah, if I were Scar, I'd fucking if this motherfucker got adopted and then became the king, I'd throw him off a fucking cliff too.
you'll hate Scar in this one because he's just a lazy loser like his father.
He's just a loser. But I'm just saying, like, in terms of the actions, I'm like, yeah, I'd throw him off a fucking cliff too. And it's like once I saw that second trailer
and
of
can I just say
of like the three of them, like what's Sarabi,
yeah.
Mufasa, and him, I'm like, oh, they're gonna make it so that he fucking like the reason he becomes evil is pussy, and that's exactly what.
That's 100%.
Like,
but can I also?
I'm like watching this. I'm like, how much you want to fucking bet that
yeah.
happens? And my fucking friend who saw it earlier, he pirated it because like I'm not paying to see this shit, and he saw it. I'm like, guess how Scar becomes evil? I'm like, pussy. He's like, yeah, that's exactly what I'm like. Yeah, you could tell that from the fucking trailer.
It wasn't even that like he fell in love with Sarabi. It was that she came from a royal lineage, and so did he. So he was like, she's got no reason to be with this orphan nobody. She should be with, like, it wasn't even like he was infatuated with her. Nothing. They didn't have anything in common. Exactly, Dan. But again, just because you had brought it up before, they also referenced how Scar killed Mufasa like 5 times. Like there were 5 scenes where Mufasa is hanging off a cliff or trying to climb up from the side of something, and Scar digs his claws in. Every time he helps him, but every time it's like, yeah, we get it. Yeah, we get it. Like this is a foreshadow of the future. You did it. We needed the one time was all we needed. Why they did it like 4 or 5 times throughout the film? Again, the choices that were made. It's a reach. It's a reach, people. It was so weak. The whole thing was so pathetic. I just
better call this thing Halo because it's a reach. Anyway.
Just a pathetic cash grab, honestly.
Yeah, like I could just see the trailer and I'm like, yeah, I could. How the fuck this got on Best Visual Effects shortlist? The Oscar shortlist is beyond me.
And again, aside from
the VFX is amazing. These animals look real. Like that part of it, I can admit.
No,
like,
but Dan, if you saw the whole film, not even like the rendering itself, like what we're seeing here, not too shabby. The proportions they got, I can't even tell you. So some hindquarters were too small, some hindquarters were too big. There was a fat giraffe out of no, and I'm not talking like pregnant looking giraffe. There was a fucking fat giraffe at one time when they're like they just threw shit in and slapped it all together and said, "Oh, doesn't this look good? Look at all the close-ups we've got." Okay, well, how about you focus on the film as a whole and not just the close-ups here to try to impress folk. It was I'm, again, as an art major, I'm watching this film and I'm like, okay, the elephants' heads are too small and not placed appropriately on the rest of their body. Like I couldn't look away from the train wreck that it was because it was so in your face and they weren't trying to hide anything. They weren't trying. There was absolutely no thought put into this film whatsoever. And they must have paid Lin-Manuel a shit ton of money because I'm sorry, those songs, they weren't it. They weren't it, babe. He phoned that one in too, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. What a waste of time. Stream it. Stream it. You got little kids, stream it. Do not waste your money on something like this. That's all I'm going to say.
I mean, you look at the Rotten Tomatoes score, it's got an 88% popcorn meter, so I guess
people have been saying they love it. People have been saying they love it. I don't know who these fools are, but it's been getting decent reviews. It makes no sense to me.
I mean, look at Baby Girl. It has an 82%. What the fuck?
Bro, people are sick.
We'll get into that later. But what I will say is that the Lion King, the CGI Lion King from a few years ago, had a 51% critic score, and I'm pretty sure its popcorn meter was also pretty much like in the 80s or 90s. So it seems like this is following a similar pattern. But at the box office, like we talked about earlier, clearly, like, it's off to a much slower start than the original Lion King did. Well, not the original,
I did like the first one.
So,
I know John didn't like it. John didn't like the shot for shot.
I never
I was
watched
impressed
it, so
by
I
the
can't
shot
judge.
for shot.
I
Oh,
can't
okay.
judge. I'm just saying
I was
it
impressed
looks
by
like
the shot for shot.
garbage.
I liked it, but again, both films are not ones that I never need to return to ever again. Like I saw Mufasa, now I formed an opinion. I never need to see it again. I don't. And it's a shame.
Man, John is losing his faith in humanity over this movie. That's great. That's great.
I'm
I didn't
losing in
think
my
that-
faith over the 71 or 81% fucking Rotten Tomato score on the shitty 50 Shades of Grey ripoff. What the fuck? Like, okay, I'll give you Mufasa. Kids are stupid. Yeah, all right, it looks pretty. That's fine. Why are we giving praise to a shitty 50 Shades of Grey ripoff? Just because Nicole Kidman is in it? No, fuck off.
They did her dirty in that movie too. I don't understand it. Neither one of them look attractive. There's no chemistry between either one of them. I don't understand. I don't understand it. I don't understand it at all.
Sexual bullshit, the movie starring Nicole Kidman. It's called Eyes Wide Shut. It also sucked. So let's leave it at that, please.
But truly, I don't get it. Neither one of them, their hair and makeup is shit. Their clothes don't fit them right. Neither one looks attractive. There's absolutely no chemistry between either one of them. I certainly don't want to see either one of them have sex. Absolutely not. I don't understand this movie. I'll see it. I hope it changes my mind, but I don't see it happening.
We're gonna get to Baby Girl later.
We're already
Right
in Baby
now,
Girl, Dan. Let's just talk
I
about
don't want to be in Baby Girl.
Hold on.
No, ew,
Hold on.
gross.
All right. Well, right now we're gonna switch over from Mufasa, believe it or not. I mean, even though it ended up being a Baby Girl conversation at the end, let's talk about Sonic the Hedgehog 3. Sonic the Hedgehog
thank
3
God.
is a movie that is going to certainly lower John's blood pressure because he had a much better time at the movie theater with that one than he did with, and certainly for Lizz as well, a superior movie. That seems to be the consensus. But my question to you guys, it basically, is it the best Sonic movie yet? Like this being the third one, they keep introducing new characters. And then also, what comes next? Let's start with the first question. Is this the best Sonic yet? Lizz, you saw it today, so let me get your opinion quick. And then, John, you're going to have to hold on to that thought for a quick second. Let's see what Lizz has to say.
I will. I'll let Liz speak. That's fine.
I'm going to say it's not the best only because the first film was such a surprise and such a delight and set the tone for the other two. It's a phenomenal film. I adore it. I love it. I can't express to you enough how badly people need to run to their theater with their children and spend that money because it's absolutely worth it. Keanu Reeves, God bless you, sir. Thank you so much for agreeing to do this. Idris Elba delivered yet again. Jim Carrey, sir, bless your soul. I don't know. Also, there's a dance sequence in it, and you know Jim Carrey did that dance. He didn't pull a Ryan Reynolds and call in a fucking stunt double. He did the work. I respect you, sir. I respect you.
If he didn't,
I don't know why
if
Ryan
it comes out
couldn't
later,
do
he
the
didn't,
dance.
that would be funny.
But Jim Carrey did the damn dance, and it was great. I loved this film. It was totally enjoyable from start to finish. Was it cheesy? Yes, but in an adorable, enjoyable way. Did it have heart? Absolutely. Was it action-packed? 100%. Was the soundtrack freaking bumping? Yes, sir. Yes, indeed. It checks all the fucking check boxes, whatever you call them. Please, please, please go see Sonic 3. Give them all your money and then see Sonic 4 when it comes out because we are getting a Sonic 4 and I cannot fucking wait for that. We don't know if Jim Carrey's
we're getting an
return.
extra year too, so that means something. They're spending 3 years on this rather than 2, so that's
we don't know
okay.
if Jim Carrey's going to return at this point. We weren't sure if he was coming back for this one.
He's probably going to buy a few more
as though-
expensive things, so he's going to need to pay for them somehow. So
not to spoil it, but it is looking as though Keanu will be back, so that's fantastic. We're getting a new hedgehog.
it's a spoiler review.
Amy Rose is gonna, again, to spoil it, Amy Rose is gonna be joining in Sonic 4.
Metal Sonic too.
And Metal Sonics will be a part of it. So please go see Sonic the Hedgehog. And there are 2 end credit scenes, so you'll understand what we're talking about.
A mid-credit and a post-credit.
Please go watch both of those as well. Stay for the whole thing. Hold your bladder tight. But I can't say enough. I freaking loved this movie. Now, John, you go ahead and repeat everything that I just said.
I will disagree slightly on a couple things. I do think this is the best one. I think this is the best one. I knew you were going to say that. Well, I think this is the best one of the 3. The first one is very good. It had to play. I understand why it did what it did. It had to play it safe because it was, video game movies are a tough business. Most of them don't get it right. So they're like, okay, this is a live action animation hybrid. Let's just do a buddy road trip movie. Okay, fine. So it played it safe, but then with the sequels, it just got better and better. The second one, it introduced Knuckles, it introduced Tails, and we got more video game accurate Robotnik. He got the cool stash, he's bald, cool. Then we got the Knuckles miniseries. I don't know if anybody watched that, but that was on Paramount Plus. It's fun. It's the weakest of the 4 projects so far, but it's still pretty good. It's the most kiddie out of all of them, which isn't bad. It feels very much towards like toddler era, but it's not bad. It's good. Adam Pally's funny. Idris Elba's great. Carrie Elways is in it. Stockard Channing is in it. Like, hello, hi. I didn't realize you were still alive. Hello. There's literally an action sequence set to Yiddish music, so it is amazing. So it's crazy. I love it. But it's the weakest, but only because it does kind of do some of the things the first film does, where it's like very much playing it safe. When me and my friend, who is a super duper heavy diehard Sonic fan, was like, I wish it was more about the chaotics, which would have been really awesome. But the fact it is what it is, it's got Kid Cudi in it too. So like, that's awesome.
Oh shit, you got me with Kid Cudi. I'm gonna watch it.
He's not in it a ton, but when he is, he's very funny.
I will watch it tonight. Fantastic.
But yeah, so back to Sonic 3. This is the best one of 3. It adapts what many Sonic fans consider the best Sonic game of all time, Sonic Adventure 2, which was on Dreamcast and GameCube. It borrows a lot of the music from that, because I've heard the soundtrack from Sonic Adventure 2 also fucking slaps. So it borrows a lot from there. I think everyone did an excellent job. I very much agree. Dan is in a different location. We're really going crazy here.
How dare you, sir?
But Idris Elba, excellent. I think there was, like, I will say, him as villainous Knuckles was great. In the Knuckles miniseries, he was more like, it was more like jokey and funny, because again, it was more like towards kids rather than all ages. But here, I think there was a perfect balance between the two, where it's like, where else are we gonna see Idris Elba voicing a red echidna saying Pika Pika? I mean, that's just cinema right there. But even then, like, you have moments like that, but then it earns the more serious moments, like again, we're getting into spoilers when it's towards the end of the movie and they're deciding on whether the Master Emerald should be used. And like, there's a good like voice of reason like moment from Knuckles, and I thought that was really good. I also like him. Like, I feel like his comedy was toned down, but like for good reasons. It felt like development there, and that was really good. Ben Schwartz proving he's an amazing Sonic. Yes, I know he's not Roger Craig Smith. Yes, I know he's the best Sonic of all time, but Ben Schwartz, I think with Ben Schwartz, like with most of his roles, he almost always perfectly rides the line between annoyance and charming. And that's what I think he does very well, with the exception of John Ralphio. He's supposedly be unabashedly annoying, but that's like the point. So, but Ben Schwartz is like, this guy should be an annoying prick, but he isn't. And I really like that's proven yet again with his Sonic. Colleen O'Shaughnessy, who's been voicing Tails in the games for the past couple years. She's, in the films, and she does another great job as Tails. And then I think as both Robotniks now, Gerald and Ivo Robotnik, Jim Carrey does a really good job. And then Keanu, my guy, go back to Keanu. Go back. No. Go back.
Keep it on Keanu. There it is.
Like,
keep it
this
on
man,
Shadow.
If we couldn't love this man more, we do now. This man said no to Star Wars to do this movie. Like, if that wasn't Kino Giga Chad energy right there, he easily gives, and I say this unabashedly and genuinely, this is arguably one of the best performances of his career. Like, I'm saying that genuinely. Like, I know it's funny because he's playing a fucking hedgehog.
He took it seriously. Like, he took it like this was a Shakespearean performance.
You know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of Michael Caine in A Muppet Christmas Carol. This 100%. Dude should not 100%. have taken this seriously. Like, I'm gonna play this as serious as a fucking heart attack. And
if you could give an Oscar for voicing a fucking hedgehog, I'm telling you right now, all day.
He did it so. Like, here's the thing with Keanu. We love Keanu. He's not exactly the greatest actor ever. Like,
he is one of the greatest.
It's just like he's very like stoic and monotone, and that's how he is in most of his movies. I mean, look at Dracula, great movie. He was easily the worst part of that movie. But even then, like, he's like an everyman action star. Like, he does like the stoic, it's just cans, or I am an FBI agent. Like, you know, that's how he is. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing.
You have no idea how deep that whoa just hit me. It was like right in the chest.
It's like he's not trying to be like Marlon Brando or anything. He's a better person than Marlon Brando, but he's not trying. And that's how he is. That's a good thing. Like, he knows his performances. He knows how he is as an actor. And even then, he was like, he went so far for this fucking. I felt every single fucking word that this man put into his performance. Like, I'm saying that about this thing right here on your screen. I'm saying that, like, like fucking Al Pacino's doing Michael Corleone. Like, that's how I'm acting. But it felt like it. It felt like it. And he did so fucking well. Like, he's worth the price of admission alone. But luckily, the rest of the movie the rest of it is great. But he steals the movie. He absolutely steals the movie. Now, the action sequences are great. Now we're going from Mufasa, which had garbo visual effects. This has great visual effects. Like, this franchise started with the fans being like, hey, that Sonic looks like complete trash. Fix it, please. And the company actually fucking listened and said, okay, we'll fix it. They delayed it a couple months, and we got the like way better looking Sonic rather than ugly Sonic with teeth and whatever the fuck they try to do there. And this is where we are now. And this is great. I like how they don't totally adapt like the video game character design. They take it, but they do their own thing with it. I love it. The effects look great. The action sequences are like pumping, like Sonic and Shadow, that first one between the two of them, where he does the Akira, motorcycle like skid, like, obviously I see what you're doing there, Jeff Fowler. That was great. That whole sequence was awesome. Like, the more you talk, the more I want to hit you. Like, and it's just great. It's just great. And it's like such like a ton of fun. The him breaking out of prison was great. And all the human characters are like, Jessica Jones is in it. Kristen Ritter, she's awesome. Agent Stone, I don't know the actor's name, but he's really good. I like Agent Stone. And Jim Carrey doing double duty. Like, pretty much everything about this movie was fantastic. However, I do have some qualms that prevent it from being better. The first thing is that most of the comedy from the Robotniks was really bad. Like, it was very kiddie, juvenile.
Well, again, it's a kids movie
though.
It's a kids movie.
Yes.
It was like they went for the obvious joke, but it still wasn't like cringy. You know what I mean?
I felt it was pretty cringy.
You want to hear some bad writing? Go watch Mufasa.
I fully
for the audience they're trying to hit. It was fine.
Like, there's like a great scene like towards the end when Shadow like sees the error of his ways, and again, spoiler alert, where he sees the error of his ways, and they like team up, and they both have the Master Emerald energy, and it's great. And then it cuts to Gerald slapping Ivo Robotnik in the ass with a giant metal glove. I'm like, oh, come on, you had this really great scene, and then you fucking let me down with that. Like, come on, guys. And there was like the dance scene was fun. I think it went on way too long. And I think
Not
a lot
like
of the
Argyle.
comedy
It still was shorter than it was just long enough. And again, he really did those moves. Ryan Reynolds, how dare you?
But I feel like a lot of the comedy without the bad comedy, I'd give it like a 9. But like with the comedy, it does drag it down to like kind of an 8.
But again, you also have to recognize that it's aimed towards children.
I know it is aimed towards kids,
in
but
that regard, they still hit it out of the park in every.
But the previous 2 movies did not have as much cringy ass humor as this one did. Not even the Knuckles miniseries, which was more kiddie, had as much cringy humor as this one did. However, some of the jokes really do land. Some of them are really funny, like when Gerald and Ivo first they're like doing their like smarts kind of thing. That was really funny, and a lot of the stuff, was very good. There was a little bit of weird editing, mainly with the flashbacks, but again, like small nitpick. I felt Maria, the actress who played her, was kind of wooden. Again, she's a kid, so I can't blame her too hard. So I don't want to be mean, but it's like kid actors are usually not that great, and I felt like she was very wooden. But again, nitpick, and I think Tom should have died. Ignoring the fact that James Marsden is a piece of shit, I just think it would have hit harder.
I think it would have been a little too heavy if that was, again.
Yeah, I think that's why, because I actually have a theory in regards to that, but it just would have made like that scene of like Sonic realizing like his rage, his vengeance wasn't going to get him anywhere. I think that would have hit harder if Tom had actually died. But even then, because like Tom has fulfilled his purpose, like there's nothing to do with that character anymore.
There was a lot less of them in the film this time, thankfully, which was definitely an added bonus for me as well. Because I thought the cheesiest parts, because I thought the cheesiest parts of the previous 2 films was James and I'm sorry, I'm getting her name right now. Was James and Chica? Yeah, was Maddie and Tom. Those were the cheesiest exchanges. Those were the corniest lines. So I mean, you want to talk about saccharine acting. I was really happy that they were barely in it this time, because I feel like
they actually focus on the actual Sonic characters.
Those characters take so much away from the films overall, in my opinion. So I love it.
But yeah, I still think Tom should have died. I think it would have worked better as like an overall piece. And I said this to my friends because I literally just reviewed it on our other channel. But I think that Tom was originally actually supposed to die.
Probably.
But due to the heavy nature of it, they did a reshoot where they're like, oh no, he's actually fine. He has a broken arm, even though Shadow went full force into his chest and didn't break his arm, but whatever. So, and then they brought him back, which is like, I can understand that. I get it. It's like Shadow is a darker character, hence why there's a lot of more kiddie humor and Tom lives. I understand that. I feel like they could have still toned it down and maybe like not actually show his death. Maybe like Maddie's just like, hey, Sonic, I'm sorry he didn't make it. Or like they show that look at that fucking shot right there. Just like something like that. But here's the thing. It's still a great fucking movie. It's one of those cases where like each movie gets better and better. The first Sonic, I give like a 7. Second one is like 7.5. This one's like an 8. Like it progressively gets better and better. Seeing Amy in the mid-credit scene was great. Seeing Metal Sonic, a whole army of Metal Sonics was great. I love how Gerald Robotnik died. That was really funny.
But did he die? We don't know. We thought he died.
No, Gerald Robotnik definitely
yes, Gerald.
died.
Yeah, he's dead.
Ivo, I think he's dead. Like I feel like the first 3 movies, they're like, okay, Robotnik, but there's a ton of other Sonic villains that they can use. And the fact that, okay, it's a fucking miracle that Jim Carrey actually came back for this one.
And did the dance.
And did everything that he needed to do, but now it's less likely that he'll come back. So I think they officially
and his character, had
off.
to turn around in sentiment as well. It's like they're really not.
Yeah, and his message to Agent Stone was great too. I really liked that. So I think they like, okay, I think it's official. Robotnik is dead. and the fact like and with that, I think that's why the humor with Robotnik was more over the top, because they're like, because I bet Jim Carrey was like, okay, cool, I came back, I need the money. They're like, fine, yeah, whatever. And they're like, he's like, okay, my character's gonna die here. I'm gonna go full Ace Ventura, Harry Lloyd, The Mask, the Riddler levels of 90s Jim Carrey. That cool with you guys? They're like, do whatever the fuck you want. And that's why I feel like the humor was more over the top in this one than in the other movies, which is like fine. I'm not the biggest Jim Carrey fan. Like, I think he's great in these movies, and I like him in a couple other movies, but I think it's a little bit too much for me personally. But again, humor is very subjective, comedy is subjective. So if people like it, that's fine. It just personally, it was just a bit too much. Even then, still go see this movie. It's so fucking good.
Yeah.
Like, the entire cast is excellent. The visual effects are excellent. The
soundtrack is a
action
banger.
sequences, the soundtrack is amazing.
Give them your
like,
money.
I have some
Don't give
nitpicks.
Mufasa your money. Give them.
I have some nitpicks, but for the most, I'm going to be seeing it again tomorrow. I just, just give this. I went to go see Dolby. I spent nearly $20 on it.
I saw it in Dolby as well,
and that's cool. That's like, spend the most you can. Make sure this fucking tramples Mufasa, just like Mufasa in The Lion King from that stampede. So
again, genuinely, I have no need to see Mufasa ever again. This movie, I can't wait to see it again. So that tells you all you need to know right there.
Exactly.
Go see it. Spend all the money.
Please go see it. It's so fun. It's okay. It's good for the whole family, but it's not like an Illumination movie, like this Despicable Me crap where a fucking parent wants to just put a gun to their head the whole time with the fucking ungodly, annoying minion humor. No, this is actually, the humor's a little cringy, but like comparatively, it's a lot better. And you're actually going to enjoy your time with this one rather than like half of the other animated movies that have come out there, or other family movies that have come out this year. So go see it. It's great. Jeff Fowler has come full circle, because one of his first things he worked on was the Shadow the Hedgehog game on GameCube. So everything comes full circle. So congrats to Jeff Fowler. Also, a personal thank you to Jeff Fowler for doing the Martha scene, but actually well executed. We thank you for that one as well, Mr. Fowler. So thank you. Like I've said for years, that scene fucking sucks. I get it. I understand it, but it's terrible. And Jeff Fowler was like, I got you. I know how to do this right. And he did it right. And it was a great scene. So I'm just saying, you're going to know what I'm talking about when you see the movie. I'm just going to say that. So yeah, way to go, Jeff Fowler. You rock, man. I hope you, till he's 90. Directing Sonic movies till he's 90.
Yes, please.
Just keep pumping him out. Anyway, I gotta.
So, I'm just gonna like quickly point out that the Rotten Tomatoes score for this is also, it's not only certified fresh for the critics with 86%.
Certified hot.
The popcorn meter is also certified hot, like you said, John. 98%, almost perfect. Which, I mean, in both instances is way higher than Mufasa. So if you are looking between the two movies, clearly Sonic the Hedgehog 3, and a lot of people are choosing Sonic over Mufasa, because it's making almost twice as much money at the weekend box office than Mufasa. So yeah, I mean, clearly between Liz and John, this movie couldn't be any better.
If you want to see Mufasa, go ahead and stream it. Go ahead, but do not spend your hard-earned dollars on it. I'm telling you right now. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, guys, let us know in the comments what you think about it. And of course, if you already saw it, then drop your reviews down in the comments. If you're watching while we're live with the show, then let us know in the live chat what you thought about it. And of course, hit that like button and subscribe, and hit the notification bell, because we do movie reviews each and every week. So I'm sure we'll be doing it again next week with we've got like 3 big ones next week. So we'll get into that then. But for the time being, guys, we have to move on to DCU Daily. So we're going to take a quick 5 to 10 second break, and we'll be right back on the other side with a ton of news from the world of DC. We got James Gunn talking about lanterns, I'm sure, like, Superman. There's all kinds of things that we got to get into. So let's do that in a couple of seconds. All right, welcome back into the show, and it's time to do some DCU Daily, everybody. Of course, I am Daniel. I am in, well, the background is a little different today. I've got a corgi here sleeping next to me, so I gotta keep her company. But keeping me company, of course, we also have Liz and John. So we've got lots to talk about from the world of DC, as we always do, John. But the biggest piece of news this past week, I should say now, was the Superman trailer. So the Superman
No
trailer
shit.
dropped. And there's been a lot of follow-up to that. No shit, exactly. So we've now know. I don't know if this was known before, but now it's more than ever before because a video went viral that Superman is a big Star Wars nerd. He's a big fan of the Star Wars franchise, and James Gunn, of course, has made the comparison that the DCU is going to be more like Star Wars than it is the MCU. So knowing that David Cornsweet, just loves his Star Wars to the point where he's basically memorized entire sequences from the movie. Mark Hamill just congratulated him on social media, saying that, "Hey, man, almost excited about the release of the new Superman movie with Krypto the Superdog." And well, I just wanted to get your reaction to this, guys. Do you think this is something that again just plays in favor of DC? I mean, I imagine the answer is pretty obvious there, but yes, we've got David Cornsweet, who's a huge fan of Star Wars, and Mark Hamill, who also plays the Joker in the more iconic, animated iteration of Joker. He's a fan of Superman. What do you guys think?
I think that's really cute. That's really cute. I think that's nice, like building each other up, that kind of thing. Um, I know it's easy to shit about Star Wars because Star Wars is pretty terrible now, but it's like Mark Hamill. I don't agree with everything he's ever said. He's kind of a shill nowadays, but you know what? He's still iconic. He's still it's nice to see like building each other up between different companies and all that shit. So it's like it's just nice to see. Like it's Superman needs all the love and he can get. And I think this just kind of proves that David Cornsweet should have been Han Solo in the Solo movie. That's what I think.
Yeah, well,
I could have seen it. I could have seen it.
I
Yeah, I
could
would
see
agree
it
with
too.
that.
I don't know. I don't know if he was really a known commodity at the time, right? Like,
Not
so I
really,
don't know.
but a man can dream.
Yeah,
I
man can
mean, I
dream.
think
Well,
Jamie
betting it, yeah,
Costas should have been Han Solo. He would have been good. He actually
yeah.
looks like there. Or who was that guy in Age of Adeline who played young Harrison Ford in that movie?
Yeah.
That guy should have been Han Solo. He also
Yeah.
Anthony
Yeah.
Ingruber. He actually ironically also voiced Joker in the Telltale games. So it all works out.
Okay.
We all come
I
back
mean,
to DC. There we go. Boom.
look, maybe they looked at that and were like, I don't know if he's good enough to carry an entire film. Maybe that's what it was. Because Alden Ehrenreich had a good theater background. Like he came from the world of stage rather than movies, and then transitioning over. I don't know. Well, but in hindsight, guys, like I'm sure hindsight being 2020, we would all love for David Cornsweet to play every role in the possible in the world of DC and beyond. So I wanted to keep the ball rolling. We've got so much to get into today. So the big thing that I really want to dive in today with DC. So basically, this news that James Gunn has been talking about how big of a role Mr. Terrific is going to have in the movie. Because we've been thinking about, like, okay, well, Mr. Terrific shows up in the film, but just how much is he going to do in the movie? So James Gunn was interviewing with Gizmodo, and this was during the set visit. Now, the set visit happened in the summer, but, then James Gunn kindly and nicely, very nicely, very nicely asked, everybody who visited the set to, keep their trap shut until the trailer comes out. I'm going to stop doing that.
Oh, you do it
But
really well.
so, but these quotes are now coming out. So according to James Gunn, these characters all get their moment in the sun. That includes Mr. Terrific. They all have their moments. They're not just cameo. These are the characters. So he basically talked about Mr. Terrific having a much bigger role than maybe what we anticipated. It's not really a cameo. It looks like Mr. Terrific is going to be a significant part of the film. So, Liz, I just wanted to get your opinion on this. Does that make you more excited? Are you starting to worry a little bit more about? Because a lot of people have concerns that there's way too many characters in this film, certainly too many superheroes. But knowing that, of
Yeah.
course, everybody's going to get their chance in this moment in the sun, what do you think about James Gunn talking about
if they
that?
do get their moment in the sun, that's great. If they're in it enough that we get an understanding of who they are and what role they play in the universe and in the world, then fine. But if it's just kind of a one-off, like say one of the characters, that's how the film starts, is he's in the middle of a battle with one of these characters. Okay, that's great, but it doesn't really tell us a whole lot about them. And again, me being one of those people that doesn't really know a lot of these aside characters, like I don't know who Mr. Terrific is. I don't know who these people are. I'm going into it excited to learn and to find out and to see what these new characters bring. But at the same time, if they're not going to spend any quality time on them, it's going to be kind of a miss for me. So we'll see. But again, James doesn't do anything by half, so I don't see that being an issue at all.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he said he loves Mr. Terrific and pretty much those words. So, yeah, I can't wait to see just how much of a role Mr. Terrific has in this, because it sounds like and even looks like from the trailer, whether you watch the trailer in the movie theater and you got a few different shots that are not in the online trailer, Mr. Terrific is certainly a significant part of the movie, because he's not only there in Metropolis, but he's there in the whichever third world country they're in, where there's like a whole military, sequence. There's other super soldiers that may be associated with Lex Luthor. Lois Lane is there, so and Mr. Terrific is there, and we see the T-Sphere. So it looks like, John, I mean, he's gonna have a significant role to play here.
Yeah.
How much of a role are you expecting for Mr. Terrific to have in the movie? Do you think he's gonna be a significant supporting character, or is he only gonna have a few scenes?
That's the vibe I got. We even talked about this like sometime this past week. That Mr. Terrific, it seemed like Mr. Terrific was going to be the most like Superman, like in terms of moral code. Because Guy Gardner is more of a hothead. Hawkgirl is kind of the same way. Metamorpho is kind of a bit of a jughead, little meathead kind of guy. So not to like deny their superheroing, it's just like they're all part of that corporate system, and they're all a little bit like, from what we've gotten, they're either under Stag or Maxwell Lord, depending on who it is. I think it should be Maxwell Lord, but they were in Stag Industries for a little bit, so I don't know. It all depends what they're gonna do. But I think that, yeah, that makes sense, because Mr. Terrific, he's definitely, he seems like just an overall very like good. Now I'm talking, oh, he's very good. I mean, like a very good, like natured character. So from what I've read of him, at least, so I think like he's gonna be the most like on the fence in terms of being part of that edgy corporate side that I feel like we're gonna be getting with this, and Superman's true blue lawful good kind of side. So I think we're going to be seeing that with Mr. Terrific, and like he's going to be the most inspired out of all of them. And I think Metamorpho is going to follow suit, and then we're going to get like a Terrifics movie or spin-off later on, and they're going to get like the actual characters like Plastic Man and maybe Phantom Girl, maybe another similar character, so we're not bringing like Legion of Superheroes into this, because Phantom Girl has a lot of like not red flags, but like a lot of like background lore that I don't think Gunn wants to bring in right now. Kind of like what he did with like Arm Fall Off Boy. He just made him the detachable kid, and he essentially made him his own character in the Suicide Squad. So I can imagine that they would do that, but like make like Phantom Girl, but like make it her own character rather than part of the Legion of Superheroes lore. And then Guy Gardner will kind of remain himself, and then I think Hawkgirl is going to be part of the Authority and just replace Swift. So they're both going to be like more like kind of going into more of that edgier side, because that's what those characters kind of are. Guy Gardner, I think, will be a part of like Maxwell Lord's Justice League International, and then she'll be part of the Authority, which, if it is the case that Maxwell Lord is like has that team of what we know of in the Superman movie, I can imagine that maybe in this case the Authority was kind of its own thing in the comics, but like they teamed up with the United States government. Maybe in this case the Authority will be like like another corporate thing, like whatever this team is, and like that's what the Authority will start out as, and then maybe over the course of their movie they'll like kind of detach away from that. They'll be like, because they have their own moral code and all that shit. And then they'll like team up with the government and that kind of thing. So that could be like a good sort of thing. I'm just kind of going off in a million different directions, but I think going back to what you were saying, Mr. Terrific, I think will be the most morally on the line. While I think the other three characters, or at least Guy Gardner and Hawker, will be more on the like leaning side of like, the Superman guy. Yeah, he's another hero. I respect that. But we're going to be doing our own edgy thing while, Metamorpho might be on the line, might be not. If they want to do Terrifics, maybe he will be. If they're not, then he'll be on with Guy Gardner and Hawkgirl. So I think that's an interesting way, Mr. Terrific. And I don't mind the fact it's another hero, like being like having, it's still Superman. It's not called Superman and Mr. Terrific. It's just called Superman. He's going to be the main character. It's just like you can make the argument of like, oh, it has too many characters. It's just like the only reason people are losing their minds is because those other supporting characters are also superheroes. If they were not superheroes, nobody would be fucking complaining. But they want to build the world, but it's like, oh, it's too much now. It's like, okay, like, and then if you were starting it like Iron Man, people would be complaining that like, oh, you're copying from Iron Man by being the first hero. It's like, all right, just like, what the fuck do you want to do? Like, you're going to have people complain either way. Might as well do whatever the hell you want to do. It's fine.
Well, but also, John, I wanted to kind of like just talk about the fact that, hey, he mentioned that Mr. Terrific is going to be like, there's a supporting cast of these super characters, but Mr. Terrific is the main character of those characters. So clearly, like he said, he's a big part of the plot, and obviously he enjoyed working on it. Now, there are a few other things in this article from Gizmodo. We have talked about the whole Lex Luthor is almost a sorcerer, and it's very much inspired by, All-Star Superman, and there's sort of that, that Silver Age feel of the character, which sounds amazing to me, because I'm like, okay, that sounds like a take that we haven't seen before. We talked about Lois, and Clark's relationship, and how it's so complicated when you have, there's nuances to it. It's not like something that is, just very simple or very monotone, where they're gonna have a strong-headed, stubborn, skeptical journalist, in James Gunn's words, who has a relationship with someone who can lift a freaking skyscraper. How do you there's a lot of ways in which you can go about showing that relationship, how it gets tested, and so we're hopefully, we're going to get to see more of that, as James Gunn said. Now, he was a little coy about the whole, does Lois actually know who Clark is, but he says that she knows who Superman is, so there's that. Now, with that in mind, there is one thing that was interesting here that I really wanted to kind of quickly get your opinion on. It looks like James Gunn did confirm that the events of Superman will impact Peacemaker season 2, and maybe, just maybe, we'll get a couple of things at the end of the film that will tease toward that. So what do you think that is? Is that a post-credit scene? Is that something to do with, Rick Flag Sr.?
I think it's just like Frank Grillo being there is all. I think that's all it kind of is. Like, Frank Grillo is going to be there. Maybe we're going to get something with like Amanda Waller, but I don't think so. And I think that's just going to be like, oh, he's here, and maybe he'll mention something in regards to, oh, this guy that killed my son. Well, I've got to go take care of that, and then kind of fuck off, and that's kind of it. I don't think we're going to get anything major in regards to that.
That's fair. I mean, I feel like that's enough of a setup to then kind of look. I mean, only a few months later, we're going to get Peacemaker, so I'm sure we'll get a trailer for that by the time the movie comes out. So people won't have to wait too long. But Liz, I wanted to get your opinion on this part here. The fact that we have talked about how, Superman puts on a pair of glasses and he becomes Clark Kent, right? And like, we already know this particular version of Superman looks very different in his street clothes with the way they've done it. But James Gunn kind of describes it as, it's not like it's just Clark Kent or Superman. The two parts of him are part of the whole. But then also the idea that, do people really know Superman, kind of ties into that whole, not just the physicality of it all and how he looks, but the fact that if you maybe know Clark Kent but don't know Superman, but then you don't know the man entirely, like you only know a part of him. And so that means that when it comes down to how many people truly know Superman, there's only maybe a handful of people in the world, like his parents, the Kents, and maybe Lois Lane. Like, I can't imagine too many other people, and even maybe not Lois Lane if she doesn't know that he's Superman, right? So what is your opinion on that, the fact that James Gunn is tying this question that everybody asks about the secret identity, and he's not just looking at it and thinking about it from the perspective of how they look, I know how Clark looks when he's walking around working for the planet versus saving the planet, let's say, and he's also tying it into more of a metaphorical and story perspective, how all of that works. Like, I feel like, to me, that's something unique that we haven't really, at least not seen a director talk about it that way. What are your thoughts on that?
No, yeah, no one's ever really gotten deep into it, aside from, like you said, the superficial, where it's like, well, when he takes his glasses off, obviously he's Superman. Like, what? How do you not know that? But no one really does have that conversation, because we've seen it in other iterations and other superheroes. Like, for example, like, you never see Superman talking to the press, whereas Tony Stark is all about the media and all about getting stuff out there. I'm sure he'd have an X account, but so aside from saving people and the planet, and trying to go out there and do the right thing by the great people of Metropolis, we don't really know Superman himself. Like you said, we know the caricature for the most part of Clark Kent, but it's interesting that he's making a comment about that, because it's not something that's really been discussed before. So I think that's really thoughtful. It shows that he's being very thoughtful about this character and about the direction that he wants to go, and how he's written him, certainly. But I do, from what I've seen in the trailer, I think they did a really, really good job of making them look like two different people. Which is also something we haven't really seen before either. So again, James Gunn does not do anything by half. He's been extremely thoughtful on this from day one. Unlike Superman, he does talk to the press every single day, so we always kind of know what he's thinking, and which is why we get this nice little soundbite from him as well. But as far as someone who, like I said, isn't that familiar with the world, the universe as a whole, the other aside characters, everything that I've been seeing just gets me more and more excited for this movie. So I'm always skeptical when a new version of something we're very familiar with comes out. And I've always felt that way in particular about Superman, but still my favorite Superman is Christopher Reeves. It will always be Christopher Reeves. So anytime I see anything else happening, I'm like, all right, poser. But this is really, really promising. So I'm loving every bit of it. I'm loving it.
Yeah. I mean, also then when you look at this last part of the article, I think this is the one that's probably the most telling in terms of the bigger picture. Because here, of course, people are asking him like, hey, look, man, Superman is a big movie. It's kicking off a new cinematic universe. You seem pretty overwhelmed for a lot of reasons, because not only are you directing the film, but you're also one of the co-CEOs of DC Studios, which is in charge of this new cinematic universe. So, I mean, James Gunn, I'm sure with a wry smile on his face, was like, yeah, man, I'm miserable, but hopefully it's for the greater good. And then he goes on to sort of like kind of detail a few more things. And basically, I'm going to read this off the page, so just stick with me here for a second, but I think it's important to get the context here. And so it says here in the article on Gizmodo, one of the reasons for that seemed to be the pressure James Gunn is putting on himself is to make sure his version of Superman is great, is because if it's not, there's no guarantee. And this is the key. There's no guarantee we'll see more DC movies after that. There's a plan, one that involves Future Commandos, Peacemaker, Supergirl, and others. But if Superman doesn't work, well, things could change very quickly. So in the words of James Gunn himself, a lot is riding on Superman. And, he went on to say, I mean, we're not going to just keep making movies. And that, to me, is something that I'm like, okay, all of a sudden that raises the stakes, And of course, that is unless Superman is great, which we are all hoping that it is, Liz. I mean, what do you think about that? The fact that this movie could singularly be basically the whole future of the brand. Yeah, at least riding on this.
Well, again, I mean, he's a tortured artist, right? To not be cliche about it, but he truly is. And he said this time and time again in interviews and in his posts on social. He's always thinking about this project, in addition to the other projects he's got going on. Again, he wrote for Creature Commandos. He's very passionate about all of these different things, but this one, he knows there's a lot writing on it because there's a lot of expectations that come along with somebody like Superman. Superman is a big deal. Like I said, every time a new iteration of Superman comes around, I am skeptical as all hell. I'm not interested. I think you're not going to show me anything new. You're not going to surprise me. You're not going to bring anything exciting to the table. This is a completely different story because he is approaching it as a fan. He wants to do right by the fans. He wants to do right by the character. Again, he said he's not going back to the same old origin story. He's not going to give us the same old, storylines and characters that we've been seeing. Right here, he's introducing brand new characters to the world, really, globally. Again, I've never heard of Mr. Terrific, the Nathan Fillion's Lantern. I don't know that character. He's bringing so much more to the table because these are things that are important to him, and it's important that they're finally being showcased and that they're finally getting the attention that they deserve. So I think I really can't put myself in the headspace to imagine this being a bad film or this flopping or this failing fans in any regard. Because like I said, he himself is a fan. He's really creating a world that he's always wanted to see. So in that regard, I'm very hopeful. Again, the Snyder cultist, please. But I don't see him missing a mark on this one. I really don't. I mean, look, again, I wouldn't know that was Superman. You know what I mean? Like they're so thoughtful in the things that they're doing. So I'm feeling good about it. Again, poor James Gunn. I hope he takes a 5-year vacation after this. We know that's not happening, but man, I hope he's like going to the spa every other day or something while he's posting and tweeting and giving, sound bites for interviews. I hope he's in the spa getting a massage, getting some cucumbers over his eyes, something, because that man needs a break more than anybody right now. So we'll see what happens.
What did I miss?
Just the normal Superman chat. That's all. And I will say I wasn't there when you guys went live. First, your first reactions to the trailer. But man, that tease, and if that's just the teaser trailer, I can't imagine what we're going to be getting when the full-fledged trailer. And so many articles have already spoken about the fact that the teaser trailer itself is showing us a lot of stuff that happens in the beginning of the film. We're really not
like
even
how
getting
fucking
into
teaser trailers should be,
Yes, we're in the teaser trailer. We didn't even get into any of the meat and potatoes yet of the rest of the film. So it's like, holy shit, what else are we in store for goodness sakes? So I'm just really pumped. I'm really excited, and like I said, I don't see James really catching an L on this one. I really don't. I don't.
Unless
see
you're
him
a
making
Snyder
it a bad move.
cultist, but they're not people.
Again,
so
we're
they
not.
Don't count.
Yeah. At this point, please get a life.
I mean, I've seen a lot of hate for the trailer. I've seen a lot of love for the trailer. It's kind of divided, but I feel like that's going to be always the case when it comes to this iconic of a character. We're going to get the same thing with Brave and the Bold. We're going to get the same thing with the Batman and maybe Supergirl, because those are like the most popular characters. Meanwhile, like the Authority, like all 3 Authority comic book fans are going to get mad about something with Rat.
I mean, Supergirl's always going to get shit on because it always.
I just like the character has never been done justice, unfortunately.
Exactly.
That's kind of the shame. It's like you had the Helen Slater movie, which was like, I've seen bits and pieces of that. It's so bad.
Poor Helen
The
Slater.
show, the first season was good, and then the rest of it was kind of garbo. And then Sasha Calle was good. It's just she was stuck in a fucking shitty ass fucking movie. So I feel like poor Supergirl's never caught a break, unless it's like animation. Like she was good in like Superman Unbound and stuff like that. But yeah, it's feel kind of bad for Kara. She doesn't deserve this.
Yeah, by the way, John, we were talking about the fact that James Gunn was pretty specific, saying that, hey, if Superman fails, we're not just going to keep making movies, which was like very like, oh my God, okay, so there was a real chance if Superman somehow like completely shits the bed, like it's going to cause the DC universe to potentially take a very different turn than what they intend for it to. So there's a lot more writing on this movie that, I mean, obviously a lot of us like speculated that would be the case, but it's when it comes from the horse's mouth, like you gotta start wondering, okay, so the pressure is really, really on. No wonder James Gunn is working 24/7 round the clock to bring this whole universe to life. And quite frankly, I mean, so far, the first impressions are all really good. So let's keep the conversation going here, guys. Let's switch over to this next item I want to get into. So you can see this video here. There was a special announcement from DC, and James Gunn, of course, is in there. You see, all the lead characters. You've got, Lois Lane there. You've got Superman in there as well. And of course, you've got Lex Luthor. They're all announcing this new DC Fan First program, so that if you are a fan, you can sign be the first in the know on all Superman and DC Studios news. And this is something that you guys have been bringing up in the chat a lot recently. So I wanted to kind of get into it with you guys. If you guys saw this video, what are your thoughts on this? I mean, is this something that you would want to sign up for? This does feel different than maybe just like a standard newsletter. And then James Gunn again trying to forge that connection with the fans, kind of in line with him always responding to people on threads and stuff. What are your thoughts on this? I mean, Liz, is this something that strikes you as something that's unique and different, or does this just come across as a pitch for another newsletter that you would have to worry about in your inbox?
I think if anything, this is James Gunn trying to give himself the break that he deserves, because again, he's on every interview, he's on every social media platform, he's responding to every stupid thing the fans have to say. So I think he's like, you know what? Let's just have one dedicated place for all of this information. If you want to find out more, this is where you go. I'm not going to sign up for it. For me, it doesn't serve a purpose that I need fulfilled, but I think it's just trying to make life easier for him, especially as he moves on with other projects.
So he doesn't drop dead of an aneurysm at fucking 58.
Exactly.
By the way, all of them look just so fucking awesome, and this is just like, it's just perfect. Like just the arm thing with him.
Yeah.
Just he's got the nice blazer. Rachel Brosnahan just looking as beautiful as always. Just all of them just rock it. Like it's just the softness of the light. It just looks nice to me. Like I don't know. Like maybe that's just me being weird, but I've noticed it. Like I don't know. It's just like it's not. It's like maybe it's just like the idea of this being like as the days go by, feeling more real. Like it just like. Because it's one thing, it's like, oh, we're talking about it. Oh, we're talking about filming. We're talking about it like post-production. But it's just like we're now getting ads with the four of them, the three main stars and James Gunn, the director and the writer. And it's just like, holy fucking shit, this is actually happening. This is real. And it's just like, even if something as silly as like a special announcement for a newsletter. And it's just like, I don't know. It just,
I wish Wicked would do this, honestly.
Maybe I'm just like getting that optimism again. Like Superman's doing his job now. Like we're getting the hopefulness of this character, and just all of that just from stupid little announcements. Because it's like, oh, this is happening. This is great. So
yeah, no, I mean, I think for me it's great because it gives us again another touch point with the brand. So I really like that. And then the fact that they were promoting this, I mean, they were the background they're in front of, that's something that they shot a lot of, like, oh, the trailer's out, like watch it now. There's a lot of little like teases on that background, so that's the same set. But it's just another way for us as fans to be in touch with the world of DC that James Gunn is working so hard to build up. Now, this is the next piece of news that I wanted to quickly dive into, John, and it comes from one of the VFX studios that has worked
Legacy
on the movie
Effects. Very ironic.
Legacy Effects. Exactly. Well, the Legacy Effects put out a statement saying, basically, complimenting and commending James Gunn's leadership throughout the whole process. And we've talked about how James Gunn's approach to VFX is that he's going to plan things out. He has a plan. He follows the vision all the way through.
We had a plan. We had a plan.
And he gives the people enough time, the VFX artists enough time to do their job and not change things up. He doesn't do a lot of reshoots, and or barely any if it's up to him. And so here you could see that clearly the VFX community appreciates him, saying your leadership, humility, and passion oozes through this film, and it resonates with all of us, fans and crew alike. Your confidence in your ability raises the bar for all of us, and the fan feedback speaks volumes to that. To our fearless leader, #look up. What are your thoughts on this, especially in a world where we see news about how, hey, VFX artists are working 18-hour days and things are just terrible?
I think that definitely helps. Most definitely.
Yeah, like what do you think? Again, just the fact that James Gunn has got the right approach to everything, because to me that speaks volumes about the kind of filmmaker. and then what we're expecting to hopefully hopefully
Yeah.
the effects we're expecting from this movie to be absolutely top notch.
I
He
mean,
probably
I've
pays
heard.
everyone on time too.
I mean, and actually let them go on bathroom breaks. It's crazy.
Yeah, unlike Sony and
But
Village Roadshow.
I
But
remember
anyway.
seeing this Reddit post way back when. I mean, it could be total bullshit. It's Reddit. Who fucking knows? But I remember reading that like, oh, because like the whole VFX thing, like with the Marvel ones, like unionizing because they were the poor conditions. Like they were like, okay, in the light of this, what directors have you worked with that are like really good with VFX and like actually do? James Gunn was one of the ones that were like, oh, he's top tier. Like he's one of the best. He knows what he wants. Like I worked with him on Guardians 2 and he knew what he wanted and just right. And then of course like and then and all the it was funny because then a bunch of Snyder cultists came in and were like, oh, actually James Gunn sucks. Zack Snyder actually was really good with VFX. Shut up. But like so there was that. Denis Villeneuve was another one that was like the VFX part is like this dude has like everything mapped out in his head and knows what he wants. So so that is like rather normal to hear because I have heard that James Gunn is one of the many directors that like has a certain vision, knows what he wants, and does what he wants with that. So yeah, I that was just like okay, cool. That's just another thing that adds to the whole like his track record in terms of that. So that's cool. That's great to see. I don't think they would be saying that if he didn't do that because like why would you just lie like that? Because you could just say nothing and just be like, okay, yeah, whatever. Right. But the fact that they do go out of their ways to be like, hey, he actually knows what he wants and he's actually a good leader. He's not a boss, he's a leader because there's a difference. Remember that, guys.
100%. So
that's appreciative, and I can't talk today. But yeah, that's awesome to see.
It's all good, man. I'm basically working from bed, like literally. But there's a corgi here that needs lots of love. But speaking of corgis, we of course have Crypto the Super Dog in the movie. And you'd imagine somebody like Zack Snyder would really appreciate Crypto the. Oh, look at that! There we go. We've got actually a review from Zack Snyder. He went on his Vero and he posted about it, saying, "There's literally no reason to restore my universe now. Like, there's just too much sauce here, man. I just." That's clearly a troll. Like I just love how people just now just like they have a Vero template and they always just like do a fake Zack Snyder post because Zack Snyder is still trying to get Vero off the ground. He must have some kind of money invested in this thing. But I don't know. I'm just like, look, I'm a big fan of Zack Snyder's DC movies, so coming from that perspective, I can still appreciate the humor. Maybe Zack Snyder, if he comes
get along. I don't understand. Why can't we all just live in the same world and have our projects and have our opinions and move along with life? It's so silly, this back and forth. It's really ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, the Snyder cult has started it. I will absolutely.
Well, yeah, that's yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I love the comment here, like from Bardacoba. He says, "Dude was always friends." I mean, as in James Gunn and Zack Snyder have always been friends, and they worked on their first big Hollywood project together. Like James Gunn wrote and Zack Snyder directed it. Was it Dawn of the Dead? I think, right?
Yep.
So yeah, and so like again, the comment there, like that Zack Snyder wanted the DCU to have a great start, and he's been saying this so many times, but his cult fandom keep dragging out old DCEU stuff. So yeah, I mean, I just wanted to kind of like insert a moment of levity in the Snyder cultist conversation. But yeah, I mean, again, just going back to I'm gonna just go back to that little set thing. So this is more of a behind the scenes look from where they were shooting all those DC fan first promos, all the trailers out now, go watch now. And so it looks like this is where they were in front of just like this blue background, and I think this is from the press event because they're wearing the same things as we saw in a press event on last Monday, so it all makes sense.
I definitely want to click on this to see if like because he says a gun is out of pocket with that human centipede comment. It's like, bro, if that's actually one of your favorite movies, that's really disconcerting. I understand he's from Trauma, but like, dude, come on.
Favorite movies. This is meant to
No,
be what.
when he said it, it kind of like you could tell Nicholas was like kind of surprised when he said it. So I don't think that it's one of his
I
favorites.
don't think so, but that wouldn't put me past. The dude is fucking weird sometimes.
Do you guys would care to venture a guess as to what 3 movies would be on Superman's list? The top 3 movies on his list of favorites.
Serbian film, Sallow, The 120 Days of Sodom, and I Spit on Your Grave, most definitely.
Okay,
Right.
cool. I think Superman probably is a big fan of like the Iron Man movie, and maybe even Captain America: The Winter Soldier.
I think he would.
Maybe
I think he would
Wolverine.
enjoy Michael Keaton's Batman for
I
sure.
think so too. Very
Classic.
meta, very meta. For Superman to love that.
Well, are you talking David Cornsword, or are you talking about the character of Superman?
I'm
'Cause
talking
there's
about
a
the
difference.
character. I think that's what they're talking about here. Like, what
I
would
feel
be
like the
that would make-
character is so wholesome that it would be like just like really like
I think
cheesy,
the
wholesome
Iron
movie. He
Giant
probably loves the Muppet
definitely-
Christmas Carol, honestly, since
the Iron
John brought that
Giant
up
would
before.
definitely be on there, not just because he's referenced, just because like, oh hey, that's kind of like me. I really appreciate. Oh, that's so nice. And then I like that. And then what would
Land
be
Before
another like
Time, The
like a
Lion King,
yeah something like
not
that.
Mufasa, The Lion King.
The
just
original
the
1994 Lion
1994
King.
Lion King.
Yeah,
Yeah.
probably
Um,
loves Bambi.
Well, I don't know about that. His mom gets shot, so I don't know. But
He probably is a fan of 2001: A Space Odyssey. You know what? I think
Maybe.
Superman is probably a fan of Star Wars. But yeah, well, with that in mind, let's kind of
yeah,
talk a little bit about.
although he is a Metallica fan, canonically he has
is.
every Metallica album.
I
So
can't wait to see at least one Metallica song in this movie. But
I hope so.
John,
I hope
the
Metallica
trailer-
makes a freaking cameo. That would be amazing.
Just like Lars Ulrich and James Hetfield, like, hey Superman, what's up, man? And then just like dap up, like
yep. And then okay.
Or the kaiju
All right,
gets
well,
through, like, breaks through the stadium during their concert or something. Like, that would make sense.
yeah. It's possible that there's a kaiju in this movie.
I'm saying.
But speaking of the movie and the trailer specifically, let's kind of talk a little bit about how, because a lot of people worry, because I was seeing these comments on social media how some people are like, great trailer, but I feel like I saw the whole movie here. So James Gunn felt, that he should clarify that a lot of the trailer is in the beginning, as in like the early parts of the film. There's a couple of moments that are from later in the movie, which I feel like is the one where there's the glowing ball of plasma in the background where he's sitting there with us. Maybe that's a moment from later in the movie, but we kind of agreed, John, you and I, when we saw the trailer, that it looks like it's everything that we're seeing is probably from the first half, if not maybe even like just the first act of the movie. I mean, Liz, what do you think? Again, James Gunn clarifying the same. It seems like that's usually, I mean, that's how Marvel does it a lot of the times. That's how a lot of movie companies do it. You don't want to give away the meat of the story in the trailer. But having seen the trailer, did you get the feeling that you saw the whole movie?
No.
I mean, because it's like they gave you Doomsday in the movie. I mean, the kaiju in this movie is not the Doomsday, right, kind of character where he has a lot of significance to the story. It's kind of the monster you defeat to start off the movie, and then you go on to the main threat. So what did you feel, Liz? Did you feel like you saw a lot of the film in the trailer? Or
No,
did you
with the trailer, I had more questions than I had at the start, at the end of everything. He didn't give anything away. I couldn't tell you, like, again, we're still trying to decide, does Lois Lane know that he's Superman? At the end of the film, is she going to find out that he's Superman? She certainly has a relationship with the two. I have absolutely no answers at all to anything after seeing that trailer, and that's how it should be. Again, because it's a teaser. It's supposed to whet your appetite and make you want more, and I certainly do.
All we know is Clark Kent is Superman. I know that's a major, like, just discovery for a lot of you. But
I mean, I will say I've been disparaging Nicholas Hoult, not really, but I was always questioning how he was going to do as Luthor, and even in the teaser trailer, when just the little snippets that we saw of him, I was like, oh yeah, okay, there's classic Nicholas Hoult.
I feel like he's definitely
every time. He's going to be great. He's going to be great.
He's definitely gonna, like, from what we see of him, like, there is just like just pure, unadulterated, seething fucking hatred. Just every time he's on
I feel bad for
screen.
doubting the casting in the first place because
You
Nick
should.
always
Fuck
delivers.
you. Nicholas Hoult is a
always
god.
delivers.
God damn it.
He always delivers. God bless
Like
him.
he was the
yeah.
runner up for the Batman. He was one of the runners up for Superman, and then James was like, all right, bro. All right, you've been Beast.
We get it.
You were great as Beast, but like,
Yeah.
all right, we'll have you be a villain. He's like, okay, cool, I can do that.
Right.
Yep. Well, you know what? Speaking of the trailer, we talked about the numbers. James Gunn announced that it had like somewhere like 250 million views,
Gang.
which now Culture Crave has put out a list of the biggest online trailer debuts ever.
And
of
what a
course,
lovely list that is.
It is.
Of course, 4 out of the 5 are from the MCU, which makes sense because it's the biggest franchise of all time. Spider-Man No Way Home with the biggest at the top, Avengers Endgame after the teaser trailer for Avengers Endgame. Then the official trailer for that came in number 3. Then you have which again, it's insane because when you look at this,
yeah,
to
that's
me,
wild.
the positive on the DC side is you look at the rest of the list. Deadpool and Wolverine. It's a payoff to the whole Fox X-Men franchise. You have Wolverine coming in, you have Deadpool joining the MCU. So those numbers make sense. Spider-Man No Way Home almost made $2 billion, the highest grossing Spider-Man movie of all time. It brought the 3 live action versions of the characters together. Then you have, of course, Avengers Endgame, the second highest grossing movie of all time. And somebody pointed out in the comments here that none of these movies, of course, outside of Superman, because it's not out yet, none of these movies made less than $1.3 billion at the box office.
Mm-hmm.
So with that in mind, I just want to, I will start with you, John, on this because I want to get your opinion as a DC fan here. What do you think this means for the movie Superman, considering that's the company the first trailer keep? Does that have an effect? I mean, does this give you a preview of the box office success it has the potential to have?
I don't think so, and I'll say why. Because look at the 4 of those movies. Deadpool and Wolverine, as you said, that was the encapsulation of the Fox X-Men, as well as being the 3rd Deadpool movie, and you had Hugh Jackman coming in back. That had a lot going for it. Avengers Endgame, both trailers. That was the culmination of literally 10 years of an entire cinematic universe, of course. Then for Spider-Man No Way Home, you had Willem Dafoe, Alfred Molina, Jamie Foxx, all these guys coming back from previous movies, on top of the fact you probably also had a bunch of people hoping that Toby and Andrew would be in the trailer. Some were disappointed that they weren't, but pretty much knew that they would be in the movie. So that's the all 3 of those movies, 4 trailers, 3 movies, were culminations of something. Meanwhile, Superman is the start of something. It's the start of a cinematic universe of a damaged brand, half of which were probably hate watchers of Snyder cultists being pitchy, and it's of a very iconic superhero that hasn't gotten a real proper big screen adaptation since Christopher Reeve, because the Brandon Routh version was divisive. Man of Steel was divisive. And so I don't think this guarantees that we're going to be getting billion-dollar movies, because the 3 of those movies had a lot of extra, I don't want to say baggage because that's not a good term, but like extra like good faith in the movie. Like Deadpool is a beloved character, and him with Wolverine, who's also a beloved character from an actor who's played him for the past 20 years, over 20 years. So that's something. Endgame, literally every Avenger every Marvel character in the movie fighting, the buildup of over a decade's worth of movies. And Spider-Man No Way Home, you're bringing multiverse stuff, nostalgia bait, all that shit. Same thing with Deadpool and Wolverine, and you're bringing all these fan favorite villains played by fan favorite actors from previous iterations. So that means something to a lot of people. Superman is the outlier here. I don't think it's going to get $1 billion. I'd be happy I will be more than happy if I'm wrong, but it's the start of something, and DC is pretty much a damaged brand at this point. All 4 of their movies flopped last year, and including the one this year. So the last 5 movies from DC has flopped. Yes, they have some goodwill with the Batman and the Penguin on the small screen, but it's still pretty much a damaged brand. Like, you have a lot of people that are still upset, even not Snyder cultists, that are upset that Henry Cavill isn't coming back. A lot of people were not fans of the trailer itself. They're like, okay, I watched the trailer. Just because I watch doesn't mean that they love the trailer or not, because a lot of people are like, okay, I was excited for this movie.
But a lot of people
This
did
looks
love it
goofy and
too.
is corny as hell. There's a dog. He's vulnerable. He's battered. He's bruised. I don't want to watch this shit. This shit looks like a TV show. These are all the things I've seen from combing the internet of comments. So I don't think this ensures anything. Does it make me excited? Yeah, I think that's nice to see. That's nice to see that Superman is getting a lot of love, so much love that it's up there with four gargantuan trailers of 3 gargantuan movies. That's awesome to see. I like that. That's nice. But again, at the end of the day, it is still just a teaser trailer. It doesn't mean a whole lot for the movie that's going to come out. It's a little hopeful, but I'm not going to raise my hopes too much, because there's a lot of like baggage with the brand of DC, with the character of Superman, what the disaster in its wake kind of thing. So I hate to be a Debbie Downer. I'm just trying to be realistic here. Maybe I don't want to, have my overhype killed too much or anything like that. But I just see a lot of fan comments that are like, oh yeah, this movie kind of looks like dog shit. No pun intended. So like, I don't want to raise my hopes, but it's cool to see, but I'm not raising my hopes about anything in terms of box office, that is.
Okay, well, Liz, what do you care to play devil's advocate? Do you agree? What are your thoughts on this?
I mean, I agree with John that all 4 of the other films on that list are quote unquote legacy films. They already have a fan base built up behind them. They already have a history, like you said, a culmination of other films, other projects. I disagree though. I think it's going to make $1 billion. I really do. Again, even if it's people just going to the box office just to hate watch it. Superman is the original superhero. He's number 1. He's our guy. Even though he's an alien, for some reason, he like, even like James Gunn says, he embodies America. For some reason, he is the superhero. If people are thinking, who's the American superhero, for some reason they think it's Superman and Alien. But regardless, that's our guy. And worldwide, same thing. People love superhero movies, regardless of whether it's DC or Marvel. I can understand maybe people are going to be hesitant just because it doesn't exactly seem, like little kid friendly. But again, this is just the teaser trailer. When we get the full trailer, maybe people will change their minds. I still think that people are going to bring their whole family to it, a lot of little kids. I think it's going to make $1 billion. Again, we also haven't seen marketing of this kind for any Superman project before either. Be it, all the stuff on socials, the hype built up around just releasing the trailer, releasing first images, releasing the cast, all of that stuff. I think it's going to do it. I think it's going to make it. Well, it's going to make some serious money for sure. I think it will hit $1 billion worldwide for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think.
This is the case where I'm like, I hope to be proven wrong. That's the thing. Like, I hope to be proven wrong. I hope this makes $1 billion. I hope this has like 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. I hope. That's what, Superman means. Hopeful. That's the beacon of hope right there. But I'm just like trying to like, again, I don't want to, because I let my overhype kill things for me in the past. I'm already kind of going down that trajectory with this. I've watched the trailer like 50 times at this point. So I'm just trying to, like, I see a lot of fan comments that are like, oh, I'll maybe catch this on streaming when it comes out.
Catch Mufasa on streaming. This is when you got to go watch it in Dolby.
Or don't watch Mufasa at all.
Well, that too, but genuinely, this is, again, it's a superhero movie. You have to watch it on the big screen with surround sound, shoving overpriced bland popcorn down your throat. You have to. It's you cannot watch it for the first time on your laptop, on your cell phone, God forbid, on your TV at home. You can't do it.
Oh boy,
you gotta go.
Liz is gonna turn into David Lynch if we're talking about movies on cell phones now.
That's very true.
These idiots, they're they're watching these
Not
movies
for nothing,
on
because
their
that building looks like Stark Tower a little bit there, actually, like that
phones.
lobby. That looks like where Iron Man collapsed. Like that's sorry.
That was my best David Lynch
Like the Hulk
impression.
is
I
coming out of
apologize.
that elevator any minute now. Like that's what that lobby
It looks,
right
you know what it kind of
Sorry.
looks like? Wait,
Sorry,
go
Jake.
back. This, someone actually made a fair point of this. I didn't even notice this. I just thought it was like he just needed to get out of the public eye because people are like going apeshit.
I mean, they shot this in Cleveland.
This looks like a memorial. Like what
It does.
he's
I
leaning
knew
on,
you were
you
gonna
see the
say that.
words.
Yeah.
What he's
I didn't
leaning
even
on?
notice that. It goes
Yeah.
by so
Yeah.
quickly.
Yeah.
So is it like this looks like a memorial maybe of like people that he didn't save in the past or something like that. That could be an interesting
Or
sort
maybe
of
it's
thing.
not even him. Maybe it's some kind of event in the world of this new DCU that has a memorial for it. You know, could be.
Yeah.
I mean, but why would it be a Stag Industries building? I don't know if that's like what that part of it wouldn't make sense to me. But yeah, I mean, this trailer gives us so many things, including the bowl cut. So
Everyone is
They're losing their shit over that,
everyone
either
is
good or
losing
bad
it
way
over the
about
bowl
that
cut.
bowl cut.
It is setting social media on fire. Pretty wild.
It's amazing. I mean, guys, we were here all summer talking about it. I'm like, it's just, I mean, a lot of people are surprised though, because not everybody was paying attention to the behind the scenes photos. So this is their first look at a lot of these characters. And I mean, including the freaking kaiju, that whole sequence. But anyway, yeah, look, it's the fourth biggest trailer debut online ever. And you know what? To me, that's a good indication so far. Regardless of whether this movie actually makes $1 billion or not,
Right.
it's off to a great start. And and like you said, it's different in the sense that this is the first movie in the franchise. Spider-Man and the Avengers movies, Deadpool, Wolverine, they were all at least the third movie in their respective sub-franchises, and certainly even further down in the larger MCU franchise. So yeah, I mean, it bodes well. And guys, let us know in the comments what you think about it. Do you think Superman will make $1 billion? You need to let us know. Or do you think it's going to make at least $1.3 billion, which is what every other movie on that list did? So we would love to hear from you. And of course, hit that like button if you haven't already, and then hit the subscribe button, and then hit the notification bell. But now we're going to move on to, talking about the MCU, John. So why don't you take this one over, and I'll step aside for a bit, then I'll be back later in the show. We're talking about, making a name for ourselves here again. So take it over.
So we're getting a little bit more in regards to the next big, the next Avengers movie. Apparently, allegedly, our thick boy, at least according to Lizz, might be making a name for himself in Avengers Doomsday. Now, I have not seen the movie, but I have seen the memes. I refuse to see the movie. It's thick with 2 C's, Dan. Just keep in mind. That's right.
Thick with 2 C's, no K.
Maybe even 3 C's. But I have seen the memes, and the memes are hilarious. Don't get me wrong. But it seems as though our boy is making a name for himself in Avengers Doomsday. He looks like he's gonna be.
And we knew it was coming. He's so passionate about it. Ryan Reynolds is behind him on this. We knew it was coming. Also, because he's the only one that's saying anything about it. No other actor, no other writer is coming out and being like, we've got a great story for Gambit. We've got a great actor for Gambit. Somebody's been preparing his whole life for this role. Channing does give a shit about this character, which again I've said is going to be a downfall of Henry Cavill with his Warhammer stuff going on. But I feel the same way about this. Channing, I appreciate it. I love you. I'm glad that you're doing the work, but you ain't it, baby. You ain't it. Quite frankly, the body style for Gambit is a Nicholas Hoult. Going back to talking about Nick and how he don't miss. Nick would be an amazing Gambit. He is the perfect body type. He'll do the accent justice. He'll do the action well. He's got to grow his hair back out. He's got a nice head of hair. But Channing, babe, I love you. I will never see you as Gambit. And he is my favorite of the X-Men. So please don't do this to me. You're going to do it. I'm going to go see it. I'm going to be disappointed regardless of how amazing. If it is, it still will miss the mark for me just because visually he ain't it. And listen, I saw Magic Mike. The man is handsome. I'm not disparaging his looks by any means, but he's not Gambit. And again, the fact that he worked really hard on the accent, that's the most authentic Creole Cajun accent you're ever going to hear on film.
I
which
mean,
a lot
yeah,
of people
his
don't
family's from around that area.
Right.
So.
He grew up around there, and it was really important to him that he stayed true to that. And again, I appreciate all of it, but being a super fan does not Gambit make. Okay. He's not it for me. Again, I'll still see it. I will still see it. I'm still gonna be hopeful because he is such a fan. But babe, I wish he would move on from this. Be a writer. Write the thing. Fine. But you gotta find somebody else to act it. That's how I feel.
I don't really give a flying fuck about body type.
I know you don't.
If he's like I like too skinny, too chunky, I don't really give a shit. As long as he could play the part well, that's fine. And from what I saw of him, it seems like he'll be
we'll see.
That's fine.
Everybody's making a joke out of it right now. Nobody's taking this seriously but himself and Ryan. Is he tall? He's not tall enough either. Nick. Well, hold on. Let's see how tall the two of them are comparatively. Now I have to look this up.
I think Nicholas Hoult is 6'2", and then
the fact that you know that he's 6'3".
6'3". Okay. I actually said I was gonna say 6'3", but I thought that would be wrong, so I said 6'2".
And Channing is 6'1". So again, if we have to go, but for some reason this matters to people, if we have to go by height, Nick is still.
I cannot see Nick Hoult. He's way too prestigious of an actor to play Gambit. Like I just cannot.
But he's
like
he's Lex Luthor. What's the difference?
You know who I can? If we're going by lankiness, because that's apparently what matters, and if we're going by guy who grew up in that area, I think he did. And if we're going by acting ability, I could see Grant Gustin as Gambit. Like I could see.
I don't even know who that is.
He's played the Flash on the TV series. He's got a full head of hair. He's talented. He's lanky. Apparently, being slender matters. So I could see that.
He's very baby face to me.
He does have a little bit of baby face. Does look.
No, we need someone rugged that can be
rugged. Henry Cavill. Henry Cavill should play Gambit.
No, he's also too thick. He's also too thick. He will not cut weight like that.
I'm just kidding.
It doesn't matter how much weight you lose. He's too broad in the shoulders. You can't.
He should be Captain Britain.
Channing, I love you, babe, but he's never going to be able to trim down to the right size. I mean, we're talking. He's got to be a beanpole like Nicholas. I don't know.
I mean, again, that don't matter to me.
I'm hoping for the best for the man.
But again, this is just a rumor.
He should write it.
This is just a rumor, so who
yeah,
knows
but Ryan
if this
Reynolds
is
is behind him, so it's gonna happen. The fact that we're talking about it, it's gonna happen.
Yeah, but this is comic book movie. They're usually wrong,
but they're not letting
everything.
it go. No,
so
it's gonna happen. They're not letting it go. Shit, even Chris Pratt could play it, and he's the worst of the Chris's. He would be better at it than Channing, even.
No, Chris Pratt's again too broad. If we're going by that.
Well, but he can trim down.
Chris's, but that's just me.
That's fine, but he can trim down. We saw it in the first Guardians that he can cut the weight. I don't know. Regardless, it's gonna happen. I'll see it. I hope I like it.
I'm not, so it's whatever.
You're segues, Dan.
Anyway, speaking of thick, Dan Cox, thick, the visual effects supervisor, explains that Red Hulk is more tactical and precise than Green Hulk. He's military, he's trained, even during the action sequences, he's extremely aggressive in a different way, in terms of slightly more methodical. Yeah.
Who cares?
Yeah, yeah.
I don't understand why this is a headline. I don't.
Why is this a fucking headline? Why are we talking about this?
I feel like there's like
Dan,
no.
What are you showing us? What are you showing me?
Well,
what are you
Dan is just trying to present the news, but I don't understand how this is a part of a conversation. Who gives a shit?
Because it's like we know Green Hulk. We know the Hulk.
Red Hulk's
is more
not getting
feral.
his own franchise, so we're going to see him in this one movie, and that'll be it. So why do we care?
We know it's Hulk is more feral. He's more animalistic. Red Hulk has always been more like aware of his actions. I mean, it depends on which version of Hulk I know, but like, yeah. So okay,
don't care.
Cool.
Don't care.
Moving on.
Yep. Next.
This means very little. Anyway.
Yeah. Also,
okay.
no offense, also don't care. This is not, I don't understand why this is a headline either.
The only cancer we should have been caring about is
not nice.
Chadwick Boseman, and he's passed on, so why do we care?
Yeah,
I'm not saying about Chadwick Boseman, I'm saying about this.
No, but honestly, all this is doing is giving us a preview of this character's story arc. That's okay.
Okay.
I could have found, I'm gonna go see the film. I'll find out.
It's a character in a it's
but truly, how is this going to bring more people into the theater? No.
It's like, cool.
So who cares?
This character we don't give a fuck about has
this
cancer.
is a complete waste of everybody's time. Why even you're going to write a whole article about it?
It's a character I didn't care about from a movie I didn't care about.
Who cares?
Who was the surrogate father of a villain who sucked.
We didn't even know
he appear in this movie. So,
if anything, write an article saying, "Hey, he's returning to the film. He's an integral integral part of Ghost's storyline." Well, duh, we already know that they have a history together. That's how she became to be Ghost. Okay, great. I just don't stop wasting time. It's such a waste of time. Please.
Yeah, just boom.
Move along.
Let's keep going.
Totally not integral to anything.
Yeah,
it's
just the main thing was Gambit and Lizz having her fucking rant about how Channing Tatum sucks. So
I love Channing Tatum.
I know how his Gambit sucks.
Gambit. Write the thing. Write it. Direct it even. Fucking go home. Produce.
Oh,
babe.
now we're
Please don't be the
with Dan in the private chat. Liz is gonna have another rant anyway. But yes, remember, guys, like and comment and subscribe. This has been MCU Weekly. Maybe we'll make it more of a daily thing if we can get Liz on more often. But for now, weekly. Thank you for watching. Now we unfortunately look ahead.
Why?
I'm not getting hot and bothered. I'm bothered, but not in the good way. I'm bothered by
gross.
By I literally just took a shit before, and that looked better than this movie does. This looks like I thought we were done with this. I thought we were done with this fucking Twilight fan fiction, wrong BDS. I feel so fucking bad for the BDSM community. They just keep getting these shitty ass fucking movies that don't portray their community correctly at all.
Yeah. And
they're not even good movies.
I don't even think this is based on a book. If it was based on a book and I read the book, maybe I would give a shit. But there are so many other books along this line. There's werewolf, I call it porn. There's werewolf porn. There's vampire porn. There's fairies and kingdoms and mystical and all that. There's way more other interesting things we can be doing with adult subject matter. This film looks so fucking cringe. I have no interest in any of it. There's no chemistry between these two actors whatsoever. I have no desire to see them hold hands, let alone have sex. It's just nothing about this is appealing. It's a shame
because it looks like a stacked cast.
But look, all of the people here that you're showing look incredible. In the film itself, just based on the trailer alone, the hair and the makeup is shit for everyone. The lighting is shit throughout the whole film. Nobody looks good in it. Why would I want to see them have sex and form a relationship? They don't. Listen, when I'm paying money to see people on the big screen develop a relationship, get it on, get jiggy with it, whatever you want to say, I want them to be attractive. And there's nothing attractive about any of the people in this film that's going to get me out there. I'm going to see it so I can hate watch it. I hope it surprises me. I hope it surprises me. But I'm not.
Yeah, this is from the director of Bodies. Now it makes sense. Okay.
I liked that movie, though. I liked that. Garbage. Well, I liked the end of that movie. So maybe that's what's going to happen here. I'm going to hate 75%
I guess you could say the climax will win you over.
Oh, Christ. I'm going to hate 75% of it. Maybe the last 25% will turn it around. But quite frankly, spoiler alert, the only reason I liked Bodies because it was hilarious how Pete Davidson's character actually died. That's really the only thing that turned me around on that film. So do they have a funny way of dying in the end? Okay.
Also, it looks like none of these actors are going to appear in the movie. None of these actors appear in the movie. It's the only ones I know of are Nicole Kidman and Antonio Banderas.
There's no chemistry between these two. I don't believe for a minute they like one another sexually. Absolutely not.
Paris Dickinson looks like he's
I'm just
fucking
so not.
drunk.
I do not understand all the attention this film is getting. I really don't. I really don't. I'll see it. I hope it's good. It won't be, but it's gonna win all the awards. Why?
I don't.
Why?
Nicole Kidman.
It will. It will. From what people are fucking saying about it, it's gonna win all the goddamn awards, and it's gonna be so disappointing.
Can we please, for the love of God, can we just move on to Nosferatu, please?
Yeah.
I can't look at this anymore. I can't fucking look
More
at this
Nicholas
shit
Hoult chat, please.
Or Complete Unknown. Fine.
fine.
I'll take the shitty Bob Dylan biopic.
Fantastic.
Fine, whatever.
Not gonna be shitty. That's gonna be great. Come on.
Honestly, I couldn't give less of a fuck about this. This just looks like every other generic music biopic. I'll go watch the Todd Haynes movie, because that actually did something unique and interesting with it. And it is funny how in this image, Edward Norton looks more like the leader than the leader does in Captain America: Brave New World. So go figure. God damn, look at that 5 head. That's not a 5 head. That's a 10 head. Jesus
that's
Christ.
What it looks like. Jeez, it happens.
Woof. God damn. What is the prosthetics on that shit? God damn. He has a whole nother.
That's what he looks
brain
like. Stop. That's so mean. That's what the man looked like, for goodness sakes.
It didn't. I looked him up. He looks nothing like that.
He's more famous than you or I will ever be. So
that's fine, but that's not what I looked up the guy because I was curious. Who is this guy? The guy who plays the banjo in that movie. I was like, who is it? That is not what he looks like at all. Like, good Lord, what is with that prosthetic? Jesus Christ.
They tried.
Hey, don't put words in my mouth. Don't put words in my mouth. That wasn't me. Anyway. But yeah, I like Timothy Chalamet.
You're not gonna see this one?
No, I'm not gonna. I like James Mangold. I like Timothy Chalamet. I don't like Bob Dylan, and I don't like.
Elle Fanning is in it.
And 99% of music biopics suck. So
damn.
I'll go watch the Todd Haynes version. That one, where it had 7 different people playing Bob Dylan.
I'm looking forward to it. Unfortunately, Timothy Chalamet is one of those actors that, outside of a movie studio, I could give or take. He's kind of annoying sometimes, but when it comes to the films, he does the work, man. He puts in the work. He genuinely cares about every project that he's a part of. The fact that they had such a long break while filming this just made it possible for him to hone his skills and learn the guitar, learn harmonica. All of the singing that is done live as they were filming. It's not to a track. It wasn't pre-recorded. I'm looking forward to it because I know it's going to be something really special. And I predict that Timothy is going to win a lot of awards for this one as well. I don't know that Ed Norton will, but Timothy is going to get a lot of awards, and rightfully so. I've said ever since I saw one of the first films he was ever in, I was like, this kid's going somewhere. So good for him.
Yeah.
I'm sorry it doesn't appeal to you, John, but I think this is going to be pretty special.
Yeah, I just I see it winning all the awards. I mean, the last time James Mangold did a music biopic, it won all the awards anyway. So, it's good for him. I'm just not that interested in it. I just don't care. Sorry. Now getting to shit I actually care about. This is we got the GOAT himself, Robert Eggers, with Nosferatu. All 3 of his previous efforts have been nothing but extremely superb and poetic cinema, and this is what horror should be for. Anybody who wants to make a horror movie, just watch a Robert Eggers movie. And this looks like it's going to be 4 for 4. The embargo lifted a couple weeks back, and it's been getting nothing but amazing reviews. And I'm so excited for Bill Skarsgård. I'm so Nicholas Hoult. There we go. We got Aaron Taylor Johnson. Lily Rose Depp is definitely a choice. I know Anya Taylor-Joy was originally supposed to play the character, but couldn't because of scheduling conflicts, because it got delayed.
She would have been great too, though.
She would have been fantastic, probably better. But I'm like, Lily Rose Depp, you know what? She's not the best actress, but under good direction, anything can happen. Tyler Perry is a horrible actor, but he was great in Gone Girl. That just shows the power of David Fincher.
That's fair.
He can make even Tyler Perry seem talented. So you know what? I'm reserving judgment until then.
Yeah.
So, and then you also have Emma Corrin, and you have Willem Dafoe returning to the idea of Nosferatu, because he previously was in Shadow of the Vampire, the dramatized, fictionalized making of Nosferatu, where he played Max Schreck, and this time he is playing the Van Helsing character, not called Van Helsing because Nosferatu changed names because of copyright. So I forget what the actual name was. I know Thomas Hutter is, I believe, the Jonathan Harker character, but it's whatever. I'm just so stoked I'm gonna buy
Appreciate you, Dan.
I'm buying the fucking coffin popcorn bucket.
So am I.
I'm buying that shit. Like, I don't buy a lot of popcorn, but last one I bought was the Ghostbusters one. That just looked fucking great. So I'm like,
jealous.
okay, I gotta have that on my shelf. And this has a stacked cast. This has stacked, oh my God, look how fucking tiny he is compared to the two of them. It's great. But like, it's just like, I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, this was my most anticipated of the year.
What you've been talking about for a while, yeah.
It's like, and Ralph Ineson coming back to a Robert Eggers production after he was in The Witch, and he's also going to be, Galactus in the Fantastic Four film. So he's moving on to big things now too. But this is just looks, and then they had the one of the big things is like, oh, they had 5,000 rats on the production, was like a huge thing. They're like, you could CGI that, and then Robert Eggers is just like, stop talking.
So a good majority of them were trained according to Nicholas Hoult. So but not all of them were professional rats, but still.
I mean, a couple of them. One was named Harvey Weinstein, actually. Anyway,
Very fitting.
But I just
they were professional rats.
God, this just looks so good. Like,
listen, I am genuinely scared for this one. Like, I kind of want to go with a friend to see this, but I do want to see it because it looks.
Have you seen any of Robert Eggers' other films? I'm just curious.
I absolutely hate The Lighthouse. I'll be perfectly honest with you, but The Northman I adore. I love The Northman.
Did you ever see The Witch?
It's wonderful. Fuck no, I didn't see The Witch. Are you kidding? So I'm gonna see it. I'm excited about the cast, but I might have to have somebody with me to hold my hand. That's all, because I don't do.
I think there will be a SpongeBob cameo. I did like that as well, with Robert Eggers being like, he's happy that kids everywhere at the time were introduced to Nosferatu through SpongeBob. He's like, oh, I love that. That was great. And like, that's nice. That's nice to see. But to me, The Northman and The Lighthouse have become some of my favorite movies.
The Northman is just unbelievable.
The Northman, just the climax alone is worth the price of admission. That was just amazing. The Witch was excellent. Don't get me wrong. Like, all of them are like 10 out of 10 movies. It's just something about The Lighthouse and something about The Northman were just so supremely excellent. And Robert Pattinson in that movie and Willem Dafoe, the chemistry between them was just great. And then The Northman was just like a proper epic, and I just loved it. It was just, everything about those movies were great. And it seems like we're just Robert Eggers can do no wrong, it seems like, knock on wood. But apparently, to add in a little bit of this, apparently he just got done writing his next film, which is called The Knight, which is a medieval knight epic. And then the next movie he teased, he's like, I want to do a Western. So that's definitely great. I mean, Robert Eggers did say, he's like, I'm never doing a contemporary film. Contemporary and modern times does not interest me. It's not an interesting time. So I think he said he would never go past the 1920s.
I think he's leery of an electric budget because all of his films are always dark and lit by candlelight. And it's just, I think that's part of it. He's like, we're not going to go modern because I don't want to pay that bill. Which, okay, that's a choice.
He actually did. I think it was the lighting guy or the cinematographer. I forget who it was. I think it was the cinematographer who said, like, during all the Transylvania scenes, they were all lit by practical candlelight, and they, as the scenes would go on, they would blow out certain candles and then ignite other candles, and it's just like, goddamn, Robert Eggers, can you not just like, can you stop setting the bar so goddamn high, you fucking maniac? I love you. I will kiss your feet. And I hate
that's
feet,
why he keeps getting these
like,
actors to come back, because they respect it. They respect the process.
Give this motherfucker an Oscar already? Like, fuck. Goddamn. Is it going to take remaking a movie? Is that what it's going to take?
Unfortunately, he probably won't get it for this either, just because it's not the type of film that wins these awards. It's a real shame.
You know, I know I was like hoping that The Lighthouse would win Best Cinematography, but I think a Roger Deakins movie won instead. I'm like, okay, I think it might have been Blade Runner 2049 actually. So I'm like, all right, that's a worthy winner, but I still wanted I forget his name, Klaus something. I can't pronounce it, but he's a cinematographer who's been with Robert Eggers since the beginning. So I'm like, let's fucking go. And I just fuck discount 50 Shades, fuck Bob Dylan. Let's go full in on the Plague of Rats.
I'm gonna see all of it. So
Nosferatu, and just
we'll see what happens.
Like that first teaser, I'm just like, let's fucking go.
Oh, there he is.
Let's fucking go. Look at that beautifulness.
Fantastic.
Damn. Behemoth. Okay. Yes, I would say that.
Well, if someone will come hold my hand in the theater, I'll feel better about it.
Maybe I will. Like, I'll help you out. You're only a couple towns away, so it's fine. I got you. Like, if that means, like, my hand will be purple by the end of it, if that's anything to go by. But like, you know what? I'll take the L. I'll take the L. It's fine. But yeah, that seems to be it for today, though. I mean, I could gush about Nosferatu for the next, you know, Bill Skarsgård needs a win.
After you see it. Let's do that.
Yeah, Bill Skarsgård needs a win after the fucking Crow remake. So, you know,
yeah, some choices were made. Some
and none of them were good.
No.
So, you know, he needs a win. We love Bill Skarsgård. We love the entire cast here. But
we love all the Skarsgårds.
Yeah, well, except Gustav. You know what you did. I'm just kidding.
I feel like the weatherman walking over to the news desk at the end of the local newscast for the night and being like, all right, guys, we'll wrap up show up together. So like, let's do it, shall we? Like it's Christmas week, whether you celebrate Christmas or Hanukkah, or you're just celebrating the holidays. You know, of course, we're here with you, and of course, we're glad that you are joining us. So we hope you enjoyed the show. As always, hit that like button like John just did, and of course, if you are new, then hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell. You know, when we go live, we're here 5 days a week. We will be back with DCU Daily the rest of the week, and then we will have another Also Curious next week, where we evidently have a lot of movies to talk about. So until then, of course, John, Liz, and for myself, thank you so much for joining us. Have a Merry Christmas.
Happy holidays.
Merry Christmas, happy Hanukkah, happy Kwanzaa, and happy Flying Spaghetti Monster Day.
And happy Boxing Day.
Yeah. That too.
Yep. Believe in the thick, and we'll see you next time on Also Curious Times DCU Daily.